The usually tranquil star-split stone plain, under the domain of the starry celestial sect in Jiangsu, was suddenly thrown into turmoil. A colossal spatial formation emerged in the distant sky, an awe-inspiring silver city radiating brilliant luminescence. Surrounding this celestial sight, countless people, both mortals and cultivators in Jiangsu, couldn't help but lift their heads in awe. In the sky above, they saw an immense city inscribed with radiant, multi-hued patterns, silver waves seemingly flowing across the heavens. Many mortals, survivors of recent calamities, mistook this marvel for a divine revelation and fell to their knees, praying and making wishes. The cultivators of Jiangsu, however, flew from their caves and dwellings, looking on with grave expressions. The pressure in the air was vast, as if an entire cosmos was expanding within this section of the sky. What is happening over there? Could it be another war between immortal sects? Some speculated. It seems to be near the star-split stone plain, the starry celestial sect's territory. There's no way anyone would dare provoke such a sect, guarded by Earth immortals. Earth immortals. These days, are battles between Earth immortals even that rare? The immortal sects are practically shameless in their fight for resources since the calamity. Haven't you heard of the recent bloody clashes between the Four Nations Immortal sect, the Devouring Void sect, and the Stone Foundation sect? The bold remark made many around him fall silent, casting wary glances. The speaker's words referred to the recent eradication of several once dominant sects in the immortal realm, whose only failing was surviving the calamity. They hadn't been destroyed by the calamity itself, but were eventually wiped out by rival sects. "Keep your voice down. Are you looking to get us all killed?" Someone hissed, and the brash cultivator fell silent, though a faint smirk remained on his face. Meanwhile, on the star-split stone plain, a vast army of starry celestial sect cultivators had arrived, filling the sky like a dark cloud and blocking out half the heavens. Dressed in robes adorned with astrological symbols, each cultivator was cloaked in deep, cosmic colors of dark blue and purple, their garb shimmering with an ethereal starlight. In the face of the spectacle before them, many of them gasped, chilled by what they saw. Before them, a sea of silver light spanned 1,000 miles across the sky, dividing heaven and earth in two. The space appeared like fragile paper, bending and wavering under a relentless storm, making it impossible to see clearly through its translucent ripples. Even the starry celestial sect elders wore tense expressions, as if faced with a formidable enemy. "Star Elder Heng, what do you think this is?" one of the 5 elders at the front asked. They were imposing figures, each surrounded by celestial light, their robes adorned with symbols of the cosmos and cycles of reincarnation. At the question, the elder called Star Heng furrowed his brow. Slowly, he extended a withered hand, channeling the energy of a true immortal, which gradually enveloped his arm, transforming it into a glistening crystal. Under the watchful eyes of the other 4 elders, Star Heng reached his crystalline arm into the silver veil. The entire gathering held their breath, cultivators tensing, their spiritual energies poised to counter any potential danger. A mysterious tremor surged through the air the moment his arm touched the silver screen. The energy felt neither hostile nor welcoming. It was calm and still, akin to a pool without ripples, offering no discernible sensation to the elder. The scene left all 5 starry celestial sect elders stunned and speechless. They fell into silence until Star Heng finally withdrew his hand, unscathed, and turned to his companions, an odd look on his face. "This seems to be a teleportation array," he said quietly. The other 4 were dumbfounded. A teleportation array, one of this size. Even among their vast knowledge, nothing came close to such a monumental formation. If this truly was a teleportation array, it could likely facilitate interrealm travel. However, teleportation formations capable of interrealm transport were typically built upon rare and powerful natural sites, leveraging the forces of heaven and earth. The star-split stone plain clearly lacked the conditions necessary for such a formation. Moreover, who could have erected such a massive spatial formation in so little time, right under their noses? The more they thought about it, the less sense it made, leaving them uneasy. One of the elders finally broke the silence, asking in a heavy tone, "Star Heng, could this really be true? How could such a thing even be possible?" Star Heng did not take offense at the skepticism. He understood that his words were difficult to believe. Had he not experienced it firsthand, he would have dismissed it himself. Chapter 1441, Battle on the Stone Plain, Myriad Rays of the Universe Part 2. This formation is a pure spatial array. It has neither offensive nor defensive functions. Star Elder Heng confirmed after probing it with his stargazing hand. His calm voice, however, only intensified the shock among the elders of the starry celestial sect. They now had to accept the astounding reality. Someone had managed to set up an immense teleportation array on the sacred ground of their star-split stone plane without any of them realizing. "Quick, notify the Patriarch at once. This is beyond our ability to handle," one elder commanded. Another elder transformed into a comet-like figure, disappearing into the sky to deliver the message. The four remaining elders and the gathered disciples exchanged worried glances, their anxiety mounting. "Activate the universal myriad rays formation. Suppress this place and be prepared to engage if anything moves," another elder barked. The disciples responded in unison, each one raising a treasured mirror crafted from celestial crystals, weaving through the sky to take their positions. They imbued their mirrors with celestial energy, inscribing ancient sigils into the air. In a flash, a dense, starry glow illuminated the sky, spreading out from the silver curtain and extending for hundreds of miles. Their spiritual power surged as they connected with the starlight from the heavens above, forming a brilliant barrier that resembled a cage of light. Universal Myriad Rays Formation, a high-level Earth immortal formation, drew upon the celestial force of the stars to subdue enemies. However, the formation required practitioners of the starry celestial sex methods and specialized mirrors made from celestial crystal, a stringent prerequisite that justified its formidable power. Despite its strength, the elders refrained from rashly engaging, merely using their mirrors to keep the scene in check. Just then, two figures appeared beyond the silver veil, their forms highlighted against the astral backdrop, a man and a woman, both radiating a calm yet formidable aura. The woman was stunning, with a serene presence, while the man exuded a restrained but overwhelming force. The sect disciples reacted instinctively, turning their mirrors toward the pair, unleashing a potent pressure that made the very air crackle with tension. "Who are you, daring to trespass on starry celestial sect's territory?" a sect elder shouted, his voice filled with a killing intent. Yet the pair seemed untouched, as if the surrounding threat didn't exist. The woman turned to the man beside her, saying, "Let me handle this, husband." Ignoring the elder's demands entirely, her words carried an undeniable authority that only heightened the tension. "Very well," the man replied calmly, infuriating the sect elders further. "Audacious fools, let us show you the might of the starry celestial sect," the elders roared, summoning the power of the stars to bear down on the intruders. Instantly, the disciples around them channeled celestial energy into their mirrors, their power amplifying, causing the heavens above to pulse brighter as if the distant cosmos itself had drawn near. The atmosphere grew dense with an otherworldly energy. An intense, resonant hum filled the air as energy surged down from the astral realm, passing through the formation's mirrors and forming wave upon wave of concentrated light. With a thundering roar, beams of cosmic light hurtled toward the two figures, carrying traces of primordial energy on par with Earth's immortal power. "Falling thunder," the woman commanded, stepping forward alone to face the onslaught. A boundless sea of lightning unfurled behind her, illuminating the astral scene with an awe-inspiring aura. From the turbulent energy, a vast celestial land rose, forcing an expanse of stability into the chaotic void. Her identity was unmistakable. This was none other than Shen Ruyan, and by her side stood Jiang Chengxuan himself. Aware of the incoming sect members, the two had decided to face them directly, intending to negotiate peacefully. However, Shen Ruyan saw the confrontation as a valuable opportunity to test her skills against an Earth immortal formation. "An Earth immortal," gasped the starry celestial sect elders as her celestial domain unfurled. Their faces tightened, and they barked orders to the disciples, demanding even more power in their defense. The disciples held their positions and increased their energy output, rallying the formation's immense power with unyielding conviction. Residing in the heart of Jiangsu, they had long adapted to high-stakes battles. Armed with this formidable formation, they believed themselves capable of safeguarding their sacred ground. In moments, the two forces collided, sending waves of celestial and thunderous light erupting through the heavens. Yet the struggle had only begun. A storm brewed between the two powers, and neither Shen Ruyan nor the formation showed signs of relenting. As the formation shifted, starlight from the heavens poured down, now exuding a fierce chill, as if drawn from the primordial void. At the same time, Shen Ruyan summoned her five thunder immortal sword, its black and white lightning surging with life-and-death energies, delivering devastating slashes that tore through the starry veil. The battle's impact could be felt even from thousands of miles away, attracting the attention of curious sects, all of whom speculated about the identity of the formidable figure challenging the starry celestial sect. The scale of the power emanating from the confrontation even led some to fear for their own safety, prompting them to merely observe from a distance. In the southern reaches of Jiangsu, a starry celestial sect elder finally arrived at the location of their revered patriarch. Using a treasured item, he quickly conveyed the situation in detail. "A teleportation array," the patriarch echoed in astonishment. "Lead the way, we depart immediately." In the next instant, they vanished into a spatial portal. Chapter 1442, The Star Demon Elder Part 1. At this moment, the vast expanse of the star-shattered stone plain had fully transformed into a chaotic battlefield. On one side, an endless surge of thunder roared with a rumble that echoed across the heavens, audible for tens of thousands of miles. On the other side, the infinite starry power of the starry celestial sect swelled up beneath the sky's vast canopy, resembling a condensed galaxy descending upon the land. This miniature cosmos sparkled with countless rays of starlight, each beam refracted through the mirrors held by the sect's disciples, forming an intricate web in the void. The towering stone peaks of the star-shattered stone plain were insignificant in the face of such raw forces. Where thunder and starlight collided, stone pinnacles disintegrated, scattering debris across the sky like meteors, each crashing into the ground and forming colossal craters. Standing beneath the canopy of spatial energy, Jiang Chengxuan watched the battlefield with serene detachment. For any cultivator, combat experience was invaluable, forming the foundation of one's power. He had chosen not to intervene in the starry celestial sect's domain for two reasons. He wanted Shen Ruyan to hone her battle prowess, and he wished to avoid giving Jiangsu cultivators an overly tyrannical impression of himself. Dominating others through brute force wasn't his style. Indiscriminate slaughter risked incurring karma, and he knew that those who brought endless destruction to the world seldom met a good end. As Jiang Chengxuan grew closer to achieving the celestial immortal realm, he found himself gaining deeper insights into the celestial order. His desire to seize the starry celestial sect's prized artifact, the transforming sky stone, stemmed from his quest for a breakthrough. He sought to veil the process in mystery, misleading heavenly forces to avoid disrupting fate. Jiang Chengxuan had become exceptionally cautious, knowing that transcending to the celestial immortal stage would be challenging, even life-threatening. Death during a celestial tribulation was often far more terrifying than dying in battle. It signified a collapse from within that no external aid could resolve. Even the undying pill's power might not suffice to counter it. Now, with his undying pill expended, Jiang Chengxuan had no more chances for resurrection. Meanwhile, the battle raged with increased intensity. Shen Ruyan, drawing on the force of her Earth immortal domain, faced off against the ever-shifting universe myriad rays formation. Starry celestial sect disciples and elders alternated between channeling extreme cosmic cold, space storms, and outer realm flames. Each shift blanketed the heavens, rupturing the void in ways that even Jiang Chengxuan found impressive. He couldn't help but nod as he observed, thinking how difficult it would have been for a lesser cultivator to withstand such an attack. But Shen Ruyan's command of thunder energy, a naturally dominant and volatile force, proved invulnerable to the formation's elemental threats. No matter how fiercely the starry celestial sect elders manipulated their formation, Shen Ruyan remained invincible. In a flash of lightning and fire, Shen Ruyan's graceful fingers moved, summoning a rare treasure, the Thunder Monarch command. Her fingertips traced intricate symbols, and the command activated, deflecting the flames. She cast her lightning talismans into the thunderous sea, each one landing with an explosive splash, stirring tidal waves. As each talisman struck, bolts of nine-colored lightning crashed down, and from the waves, massive figures emerged. Before the astonished eyes of the starry celestial sect disciples, thunderous giants materialized, towering thousands of feet high, clad in radiant armor wrought from pure lightning. These giants, animated by currents of liquid lightning that pulsed within their bodies, carried formidable weapons, swords, maces, bows, shields, and drummed out a deafening rhythm that sent shockwaves through the sky. Shen Ruyan's mastery over the thunder arts had reached a level where she could summon warriors from storm clouds themselves. "Let's see if you can handle this," Shen Ruyan's voice resounded coldly. As her Thunder Monarch command shone, the thunder giants surged forward like mountains, mounted on steeds of lightning, charging into the universe myriad rays formation. Their immense forms squeezed the formation to its limits, dominating the entire field. Explosions echoed through the heavens as cosmic flames collided with the thunder giants, releasing waves of smoke and flashes of light. Thunder and flame clashed in a devastating spectacle, intensifying the battle's ferocity. Chapter 1443, The Star Demon Elder Part 2. In the chaos of battle, Shen Ruyan's summoned thunder giants wreaked havoc, tearing through mountains and cleaving stars as they pushed forward toward the center of the starry universe myriad rays formation, leaving a path of destruction in their wake. Strike with all your power, do not back down, the elders of the starry celestial sect shouted, their eyes wide with desperation. Hearing this, the disciples of the starry celestial sect, though terrified, regained a measure of composure, pouring their celestial energy into the mirrors in their hands until the mirrors glowed red-hot, nearly burning them. But no one dared to let go, focusing instead on directing the celestial rays at the formidable adversaries. "Ah!" came the cries, but even with all their might, the universe myriad rays formation couldn't withstand the onslaught of Shen Ruyan's thunder army. The fractures in the formation widened as the entire setup began to destabilize. In that moment, Shen Ruyan's sharp instincts noticed a vulnerability in the formation. In a flash, she sped forward, leaving a trail of flame and lightning. Boom! The vast formation collapsed, its energy rippling outward like a tidal wave, swallowing everything in its path. Countless starry celestial sect disciples suffered the recoil of the spell's collapse, coughing up blood as they plummeted from the sky. Meanwhile, the array's engravings shattered, the cosmic mirage flickering and dimming before bursting into stardust with a resounding pop. Withdraw. With her victory secured, Shen Ruyan didn't press the attack. Instead, she calmly withdrew her thunder giants, watching indifferently as the terrified starry celestial sect disciples fled. Returning to Jiang Chengxuan's side, she spoke with him as if nothing had happened. The retreating elders, panting and exhausted, dared only to stop 100 miles away. Who are they, and what do they want? They murmured to each other, still shaken. If that woman possessed such terrifying power, then the man beside her, how much stronger was he? Two unknown powerhouses had appeared at the starry celestial sect's doorstep, and no one understood their motives. They could only wait for their ancestor to arrive before making another move. Just then, a familiar voice resounded in the minds of three elders. Elder Xinghuan, Elder Xingchen, Elder Xingzhen. Hearing the voice, the elders brightened, scanning their surroundings. In the distance, they saw their fellow elder returning with an older man walking alongside him, a man with white hair, a youthful face, and a presence that commanded respect. It was none other than their long-awaited savior, Star Demon Elder, one of the sect's most powerful celestial beings. Ancestor, you're finally here. The elders fell to their knees, bowing in relief. Star Demon Elder, sensing the chaotic energy lingering in the area, furrowed his brow and asked, "What happened here?" In the distance, he felt two distinct presences gazing at him. When his disciples explained the events, Star Demon Elder's face grew serious. He moved to the front of the group, standing in midair, scanning the silver curtain of spatial energy. Beneath this cosmic silver dome stood two figures, one powerful, the other slightly weaker, both calm and composed. If what his disciples said was true, and there were indeed two celestial beings here, then he couldn't resolve this matter alone. "Come with me, all of you," he said, gesturing to his elders. Displaying his mastery of celestial arts, Star Demon Elder moved instantly, transporting the group back to the battlefield. The space rippled as he and his disciples appeared in a burst of celestial energy, catching the attention of Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. "Would the two of you kindly introduce yourselves, as well as explain your purpose here in our starry celestial sect?" Star Demon Elder asked directly, his gaze fixed on the pair. Seeing the Star Demon Elder, Jiang Chengxuan knew who he was and responded calmly, "Jiang Chengxuan from the Western Continent's Wandering Immortal Alliance, and my wife, Shen Ruyan." These few words left the Star Demon Elder and his disciples in shock. The Wandering Immortal Alliance, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. These names were some of the most discussed in Jiangsu recently. Word had spread about the elder from the Scarlet Dragon sect who had traveled to the Western Continent and returned defeated, immediately entering seclusion. Through various reports, all the major sects in Jiangsu had learned of the events in Qingzhou. It was widely known that Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan had decisively subdued the Scarlet Dragon Elder, forcing him into a weakened state. Because of this, many sects had added their names to their watch lists. The Star Demon Elder, however, had never expected that the two infamous figures from the Western Continent would suddenly appear at the starry celestial sect. Only a few days earlier, He had even divined the celestial bodies, but hadn't received any warnings of their arrival. As one who had honed his predictive abilities, the Star Demon Elder couldn't foresee Jiang Chengxuan's arrival because Jiang's mastery far surpassed his own. Suppressing his initial shock, the Star Demon Elder addressed them respectfully. "I have long admired your names, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. I am Star Demon Elder. Is there some misunderstanding that requires the two of you to place an array here?" Seeing the respectful tone, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan chose not to be hostile and simply replied indifferently. "Misunderstanding? I don't think so," Jiang Chengxuan answered. "Recently, the Scarlet Dragon sect intruded upon King Yun's celestial sect's territory, a close ally of ours seeking to seize a treasure. Are you aware of this, Star Demon Elder?" The Star Demon Elder's face fell slightly as he replied, "Everyone in Jiangsu has heard of the Scarlet Dragon sect's recent activities, and your name has resounded through Jiangsu because of it, Jiang Chengxuan. But what does this matter have to do with the Starry Celestial sect?" The Star Demon Elder's stance remained respectful yet firm, but Jiang Chengxuan only gave a cold chuckle in response. It seems that, according to the Scarlet Dragon Elder, someone provided him with information, leading him to Qingzhou to plunder it. Are you familiar with this matter, Star Demon Elder? This wasn't a fabricated accusation. Jiang Chengxuan was well aware of the truth. The Scarlet Dragon Elder had gone to Qingzhou based on information obtained from a transaction with the Starry Celestial sect, where they had exchanged the intelligence for access to one of Jiangsu's treasure sites. The Star Demon Elder himself had foreseen an opportunity in Qingzhou, which he had conveyed to the Scarlet Dragon Elder as an enticing opportunity. But what he hadn't anticipated was Jiang Chengxuan's presence or the Western continent's inherent dangers. Jiang Chengxuan's words hit their mark, causing Star Demon Elder's eyes to narrow and his gaze to sharpen as he regarded Jiang. Clearly, Jiang's arrival wasn't a coincidence. It was a calculated response, perhaps a warning or even retribution. The gravity of the situation weighed on Star Demon Elder, and the air grew thick with tension as silence enveloped the space. Jiang Chengxuan didn't rush to say more, allowing the Elder to ponder the implications of his words. By revealing only this much, Jiang left the Star Demon Elder guessing. Chapter 1444, Negotiations Break Down, Three Celestial Deities, Part 1. Faced with Jiang Chengxuan's abrupt accusations, Star Demon Elder's expression grew uneasy. The four elders of the Starry Celestial sect beside him also looked tense, exchanging uncertain glances. Jiang Chengxuan's words held a certain truth they could not deny. In the chaos enveloping the entire immortal realm, the Starry Celestial sect and the Scarlet Dragon sect had been in ongoing conflicts over resources across several territories. This so-called astrological reading related to Qingzhou was simply part of an exchange of interests between the two factions. Unexpectedly, Jiang Chengxuan's power and audacity had revealed the entire scheme, and with the Scarlet Dragon Elder now weakened, the Starry Celestial sect found itself implicated as well. Had the Scarlet Dragon sect not been suppressed, it would likely have sought compensation from the Starry Celestial sect for its troubles. Why was my astrological divination ineffective against this man? As he eyed Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan, Star Demon Elder felt a rare mix of frustration and bewilderment. Jiang Chengxuan's relentless questioning and mysterious strength left him feeling strangely powerless. Indeed, the Starry Celestial sect bears some responsibility in this matter, Star Demon Elder finally admitted, stroking his long beard with a heavy tone. But you too, esteemed as you may be, coming to our sect without invitation, using your abilities to intimidate our disciples, isn't this overly oppressive? Though he acknowledged the responsibility, he quickly shifted the topic, his eyes sharp as he retorted. It was clear that while he admitted the incident, he wasn't willing to shoulder the entire blame. Jiang Chengxuan, having anticipated this response, merely chuckled and replied, "My wife acted on a whim, curious to test your sect's strength, but she harmed no one." He added with a faint smile, "And as for the Starshedder plane itself, I see no one from your sect stationed here. If our wandering immortal alliance wishes to aid in restoring life to this land after the great calamity, why would that be objectionable?" His words were a masterful blend of logic and subtle provocation. This explanation left Star Demon Elder speechless and visibly frustrated. First, Jiang attributed Shen Ruyan's actions to a mere sparring session, which, given her status as a respected celestial being, the Starry Celestial sect couldn't easily contest. Secondly, he pointed out that no presence of the Starry Celestial sect existed at the Starshedder plane. Due to the recent scramble for resources after the Great Calamity, the sect had yet to re-establish its presence here. Exploiting this gap, Jiang Chengxuan had moved into the territory, a justification as dubious as it was undeniable. And ironically, this was the same excuse the Scarlet Dragon Elder had used to justify his incursion into Qingzhou. Star Demon Elder was fully aware of this, so although Jiang Chengxuan's explanation was thin, it was one he struggled to counter. In truth, this entire affair hinged on the balance of power. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan's strength was such that they could contend with the entire starry celestial sect. This reality ensured they would never be on the defensive in any negotiation. By leveraging the starry celestial sect's initial transgression, they could justify their actions however they pleased. Currently, in the immortal realm, sects were seizing resources with similar justifications, and Jiang was merely employing the same logic. If that's the case, what resolution does your wandering immortal alliance propose? Star Demon Elder's expression turned stern, his voice thundering. Or do you mean to wage war against the starry celestial sect and the entire Xianxia cultivation world? But Jiang Chengxuan remained unfazed by the veiled threat, replying with a calm smile, going to war against all of Xianxia. You think too highly of yourselves, spare us the theatrics. His tone sharpened. My demand is simple. Henceforth, the Starshedder Plain shall be under the jurisdiction of the Wandering Immortal Alliance. Without hesitation, Star Demon Elder shouted, Impossible. That is beyond unreasonable and sheer greed. Jiang Chengxuan's demand had clearly crossed a line. To surrender a resource-rich area like the Starshedder Plain would be devastating to the starry celestial sect, as it would take all the resources they'd acquired post-calamity to make up for such a loss. Moreover, the plain was close to the western continent and deep within the sect's territory. If controlled by another faction, it would be akin to having a dagger at their back, capable of causing catastrophic damage at any moment. Jiang Chengxuan's expression grew firmer as he responded, Nothing is impossible. This incident was instigated by your sect. With those words, the atmosphere turned chilling. The sky seemed to freeze as Star Demon Elder's anger permeated the air, creating an intense foreboding. Clearly, the negotiation had reached a stalemate. Jiang Chengxuan's uncompromising stance clashed directly with the starry celestial sect's refusal, and neither side was willing to budge. Unbeknownst to Star Demon Elder, this impasse was precisely what Jiang Chengxuan had planned all along. If the starry celestial sect had agreed to his terms immediately, that would have surprised him more than anything. Chapter 1445. Negotiations Break Down, Three Celestial Deities Part 2. Naturally, Jiang Chengxuan knew very well that the Starshedder Plain held significant strategic value. Releasing it was unimaginable for the starry celestial sect unless the wandering immortal alliance's forces themselves were on the doorstep. However, such a move would be a direct affront to the Xianxia cultivation world and would attract not only the starry celestial sect's wrath, but that of many other powers. The situation was more complex than it appeared. Since you two are so domineering, don't expect my starry celestial sect to show mercy. Star Demon Elder snapped coldly, swinging his sleeve as he led the four elders away without looking back. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan exchanged glances, understanding passing between them without words, and made no effort to stop him. Time passed slowly, each day adding refinement to the massive spatial array Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan had set up. The resplendent silver city of light grew ever more dazzling, drawing the attention of countless cultivators and sparking widespread curiosity about how the starry celestial sect would respond. As days went by, rumors spread rapidly, and other sects caught wind of what was happening. Has the wandering immortal alliance gained another celestial deity? Could it be that the western continent somehow avoided the full brunt of the great calamity? Some whispered. Investigate, find out what's been happening in the western continent post-calamity, commanded others. If he dares act so brazenly, Jiang Chengxuan must be certain of his strength, mused others still. Many sect leaders harbored growing unease, piecing together the information they could gather. Notably, they learned that Shen Ruyan, too, had attained the status of celestial deity, a revelation that sent ripples across the Xianxia powers. And as these factions sent intelligence operatives to investigate conditions in the western continent, they were shocked by the reports that returned, sparking upheaval in Xianxia. The western continent managed to suppress the calamity 1,000 years ago. Impossible, how could that be? Defeating the calamity, who could accomplish such a feat, exclaimed many. Unbelievable, even combined, Xianxia sects couldn't accomplish that. How could a remote place like the western continent manage it? Even among the most powerful in Xianxia, celestial deities who had faced the horrors of the accursed Tree of Calamity could scarcely believe it. They knew that the tree's power surpassed even that of the celestial deities. That the Western continent managed to overcome such a force seemed absurd. They concluded that the great calamity must have unfolded differently in the West, leaving Jiang Chengxuan and his allies with a unique advantage. Whatever the explanation, the Western continent's unprecedented success demanded respect and caution. It was undeniable that the Western continent was now no longer an ordinary territory. The once peripheral land was on the rise, destined to play a major role among the 5 immortal domains. So that Jiang fellow dares to be so obstinate, Star Demon Elder muttered as he received the latest report in his residence. Upon hearing that the Western continent had somehow achieved this feat, he realized why the wandering immortal alliance had come so assertively to Xianxia. This is troubling news indeed. Star Demon Elder sighed deeply, a frown darkening his brow. It was clear to him now that his sect was just the first obstacle in the Western continent's path to prominence. Then, with a surge of anger, he cursed the Scarlet Dragon Elder, blaming him for dragging them into this predicament. The Western continent's powers had already laid their plans, and it was impossible to imagine they could reverse this situation without an open confrontation. Losing a battle with Jiang Chengxuan and his people would severely weaken the Starry Celestial sect. Have we heard anything from the Tianhai and Huajai sects? Star Demon Elder asked after a long, brooding silence. One of the disciples below him shifted nervously before stammering, "No reply, Elder." The Tianhai and Huajai sects had always maintained close ties with the Starry Celestial sect, and after negotiations with Jiang Chengxuan broke down, Star Demon Elder had sent messengers asking for their support. But after learning of the Western continent's accomplishments, none of these sects had been willing to get involved. No one wanted to wade into these dangerous waters. "A bunch of short-sighted fools," Star Demon Elder thundered, his voice shaking the residents. "Do they not see that Jiang will inevitably bring war to Xianxia? Their apathy only serves to deceive themselves." The news of his allies' refusal left him enraged, his face flushed with barely contained fury. "Elder Star Demon." Just then, a new figure stepped quietly into the hall, calling his name. The disciple on the floor bowed deeply. "Greetings, Elder Star Waste." The arrival was none other than Elder Star Waste, one of the Starry Celestial sect's other celestial deities. Seeing him, Star Demon Elder's eyes brightened with relief. "Elder Star Waste, you've returned." But Star Waste shook his head with a cryptic smile. "Not just me." Following his words, another figure emerged, an elderly man with a composed expression and dignified air. "Elder Starfall, you succeeded." Star Demon Elder's expression shifted from shock to uncontainable delight as he sensed the celestial aura emanating from the elderly figure. Previously a peak true immortal, Starfall Elder had now broken through to the celestial realm, his aura unmistakable. The earlier transaction with the Scarlet Dragon sect had provided the resources needed for Elder Starfall's attempt to advance, but his success had been uncertain. Now, after 10,000 years of cultivation, he had finally transcended the true immortal realm. "Ha ha ha, the heavens favor our Starry Celestial sect." Star Demon Elder laughed loudly, his worries melting away in his laughter. The presence of 3 celestial deities, himself, Star Waste, and the newly risen Starfall, meant they now had the strength to face Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan on equal footing. Chapter 1446, Full-Blown Conflict, An Astounding Battle, Part 1. "With you here, our Starry Celestial sect will make sure Jiang has no chance of returning." Star Demon Elder's voice was filled with excitement, his face flushed with satisfaction as he paced around the grand residence, thrilled by the sudden reinforcement. Seeing this, Starfall and Star Waste Elders also wore faint smiles, their gazes steely. They had learned all about Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan's actions and demands from Star Demon Elder. To them, it was clear that the two regarded their Starry Celestial sect as nothing. "HMPH, I finally crossed this threshold, and it looks like these two will be the perfect stepping stones to announce my name to the world," Starfall Elder sneered, relishing the newfound power coursing through him. As he had crossed into the celestial realm recently, he kept his advancement quiet, anticipating the element of surprise would give him the edge over Jiang Chengxuan. Now, these two would offer him the perfect chance to make up for the missed renown. "Don't be reckless," Elder Star Waste, the most senior of the 3, reminded them both. "Though they aren't longtime figures in the immortal domain, they are well known. We must be prepared and leave no room for error. The consequences of failure are something we cannot bear. This sober reminder cooled the elation of Star Demon and Starfall elders, who nodded solemnly. Star Waste's words held wisdom. Anyone who attained celestial rank was no ordinary opponent, and Jiang Chengxuan's impressive battle record was a testament to his strength. His youth and mysterious origins only added to the uncertainty surrounding his capabilities. Any lapse in caution could be fatal. From this moment on, summon all disciples and prepare the formation. Activate the Star Fortress to trap Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. After a lengthy discussion, the three made their final decision. Soon, the starry celestial sect's forces began gathering in earnest, deploying the sect's most powerful resources in preparation for the impending battle. Meanwhile, on the darkened Starshatter plain, Jiang Chengxuan sat in quiet contemplation, recalling his causal energy and divination tools. He was under no illusion that this would be a simple fight. The starry celestial sect's leaders were determined to unleash their full might. "Seems like they're not about to concede so easily," he murmured, his calm gaze fixed on the distance. "Have you learned anything, husband?" Shen Ruyan, dressed in flowing robes, approached and asked softly. Jiang Chengxuan shared his findings from his recent divinations. "They're gathering every last bit of their strength. There's a newly promoted celestial elder within their ranks, which means they now have 3 celestial combatants." Shen Ruyan's expression turned serious as she nodded silently. She had long been prepared for this moment, knowing that they would soon face the entire starry celestial sect. Boom, boom, boom. Just as they finished speaking, the sound of thunder rumbled from the distant horizon, echoing across the land. The mountain ranges trembled, towering rocks crumbling under the deep purple aura spreading ominously, like ink seeping into clear water. The once clear sky was swallowed by an eerie darkness as a malevolent shadow spread, shrouding everything. "What's going on? The sky just turned black." "It's an eclipse. Something big is happening. Look at the Starshatter plain. Darkness has fallen. The battle is about to begin." The overwhelming presence and terrifying display that accompanied this transformation captured the attention of countless people across the region. Ordinary citizens in immortal cities believed it to be an omen of disaster, some kneeling to pray, while others hurriedly shut their doors against the encroaching night. Many cultivators of Xianxia, however, knew precisely what was happening. Anticipation filled the air and opinions varied. Some were loyal to the starry celestial sect and awaited their rise in triumph, while others harbored grudges against the sect, hoping for their downfall. There were also the ambitious, calculating sects watching in hopes of a double defeat, planning to benefit from the chaos and regain control over the western continent. Boom, boom, boom. Amidst the storm's turmoil, the steady beat of war drums reverberated through the sky, casting the Starshatter plain in an eerie, flickering light as darkness fully descended. Chapter 1447, Full-Blown Conflict, Astounding Battle, Part 2. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan stood side by side in the vast sky, unaffected by the brewing storm of energies. Above, the heavens shimmered with starlight as massive celestial bodies slowly approached, accompanied by radiant paths cascading from the stars like a Milky Way spilling down from the sky. The once barren Starshatter plain transformed under the ethereal glow into a scene of surreal beauty. Midst the whirling storms of power, the figures of Jiang and Shen remained calm, undisturbed as they watched a growing shadow approach from the distance. This was none other than the starry celestial sect's forces, with an immense floating fortress built from stardust leading the charge like an asteroid belt surging forward. In the heart of the fortress, countless cultivators stood ready, cloaked in celestial energy and armed with sacred treasures, exuding an aura of unyielding resolve. The fortress itself, encrusted with luminous runes and guarded by celestial-level arrays, emitted a vast and formidable presence. The starry celestial sect was indeed bringing its full might, making clear their intention to seize victory at all costs. "Jiang Chengxuan, Shen Ruyan, you dared intrude upon our starry celestial sect with reckless disregard." 3 figures stood proudly among the stars, their voices booming through the sky. It was the sect's 3 celestial elders, Elders Starfall, Star Waste, and Star Demon, attempting to avert conflict even at this late stage. But at the sight of their foes, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan exchanged amused glances. They shook their heads, Jiang's voice resonating with calm authority. "Then let's fight. There's no need for words. But remember, the Tao shows no mercy. What happens next is beyond our control." At that, the 3 celestial elders of the starry celestial sect's faces turned grim. Without another word, their celestial domains materialized, their aura crashing down like a tidal wave. Each of them summoned powers tied to the cosmos itself. their domains, crafted from outer space stars, roughened with celestial rocks, crystals, and even some solar fire. A spectacle of swirling nebulae formed in the dark sky above, their star-filled light scattering across the land, visible for hundreds of miles. From a distance, cultivators observing the scene gasped at the sight. The Star Fortress, they've even brought out such a powerful strategic weapon. It's Star Demon and Star Waste, but who's that third domain? Wait, does the Starry Celestial Sect have a new Celestial Elder? This changes everything. The revelation of a third Celestial Elder within the Starry Celestial Sect shocked the onlookers, many of whom had doubted the sect's survival in this conflict. Yet now, with this new celestial might, the odds had shifted dramatically. "Tack, subdue them," Elder Star Waste commanded, and with a unified roar, the disciples and elders of the Starry Celestial Sect unleashed their full power, triggering a deluge of offensive spells. The enormous Star Fortress, bristling with celestial energy, activated with a surge of power. Runes glowing along its exterior, the fortress unleashed streams of energy as thick as rivers, hurtling toward the protective silver barrier Jiang had erected. Whoosh! But Jiang Chengxuan's spatial array wasn't without its defenses. As the torrent of celestial energy barreled forth, his silver fortress shimmered, and massive shadowy forms emerged from the array. Silver-bodied beasts of all shapes and sizes, wolves, hawks, and mythical creatures, appeared, howling and screeching as they charged forward to meet the Starry Celestial Sect's forces. These spatial constructs, retrieved from an ancient ruin and now empowered by Jiang's understanding of spatial manipulation, exploded forth with the strength to match the oncoming assault. The Starry Celestial Sect's newly advanced Celestial Elder Starfall seethed with fury at the onslaught of beasts. These mere puppets dare challenge us. With a snarl, he prepared to crush them with his newfound power. But before he could strike, a black and white thunderbolt ripped through the sky, carrying the primal force of destruction. With a jolt of dread, Starfall quickly turned and summoned his domain to defend. "You're mistaken if you think you can ignore us," Shen Ruyan's voice echoed coldly through the storm, her power driving fear into the three celestial elders' hearts. This was only a warning shot, yet the energy was immense enough to compel them to focus solely on their primary adversaries. "Good, let's see what you've got." Elder Star Waste's face turned steely as he raised his arms and called upon the power of the stars. The heavens responded as layers of stardust gathered into massive columns of celestial power, forming a blinding pillar that pierced through the sky, rippling with raw, devastating energy. Following Elder Star Waste's lead, Starfall and Star Demon summoned their own domains, expanding them across hundreds of miles. Stars and planets materialized within their realms, swirling into a cosmic storm that swept the battlefield. Huge forms rose from the heavens, summoned by the celestial elders, colossal humanoids forged from asteroids and celestial fire, towering over the battlefield with fists poised to strike. The three celestial elders attacked as one, their combined power transforming the sky into a maelstrom of celestial fury. Chapter 1448, Stars Encircle the Sun, 1 against 3 Part 1. The overwhelming clash of Earth immortal powers created shockwaves that spread for thousands of miles, turning everything they touched to ashes. Mountains and boulders crumbled, and in the sky, stars fell, collapsing in radiant explosions of fiery light. Boom, boom, boom. Torrents of energy from Jiang Chengxuan and his opponents. Attacks exploded in succession, setting the night ablaze with blazing heavenly fire. Under the influence of the immortals' domains, the spirit energy of the land for miles around was entirely siphoned away, leaving a palpable dryness that even Starry Celestial Sect's disciples could feel, as if every breath of spiritual energy had been drained from the air. "This is terrifying power. These people are insane. What's going on? I can't see a thing." Tisk, battles between Earth immortals aren't for the likes of ordinary cultivators to witness. Anxious voices filled the distant crowd as cultivators argued, caught between fear and awe. Some were eager, others terrified, while many argued over the spectacle before them, knowing this was a rare chance to see a battle of the immortal domain's pinnacle. To witness even a distant glimpse was a lifetime's ambition for many. Meanwhile, the battle grew more intense. Against the three Earth immortals of the Starry Celestial Sect, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan wielded their divine treasures, a five-thunder immortal sword and the primal water and fire sword. Together, they fought in perfect synchrony. Waves of divine thunder radiated from their strikes, each one spanning miles, forcing the Starry Celestial immortals into retreat even as they launched retaliatory attacks. Overhead, torrents of celestial energy drawn by the starry celestial sex elders created crushing cosmic phenomena, a collapsing sky, shooting stars, and vast heavenly barriers. But no matter what they conjured, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan deftly countered each attack as if they were reading their opponents' every move. Damn it, align with me, stars encircle the sun. Realizing their standard attacks were being effortlessly parried, Star Elder Hu let out a furious roar. With a glint of resolve, he summoned all his celestial energy and took his place as the center of a formation. In response, Starfall and Star Demon moved into position on either side of him, each focusing their power and channeling it through their domains. Their three domains merged and drew down the force of the stars, releasing a titanic surge of celestial energy. In the lead, Star Elder Hu's domain ignited with blazing celestial fire, its intense energy radiating in a pure white that seemed almost invisible yet scalded like the surface of a sun. Within his domain, mountains and rivers shifted and merged, condensing into a massive, radiant star, a pure white sun. Its radiance filled the sky, blinding the surrounding land. Those with insufficient cultivation screamed in pain as they fell unconscious, some even feeling their spirits ignite under the force of the white light. Even immortal-level spectators were shocked, hastily retreating from the overwhelming display. "That old ghost Star Elder who has grown even stronger," murmured a mysterious earth immortal from the central state. It was clear that Star Elder whose power had reached the level of a mid-tier earth immortal. Cold Starlight. Meanwhile, Star Demon wasn't holding back either. His domain transformed into an enormous frozen star, exuding an icy light like a frigid moon, sending waves of extreme cold through the air. Around it, space froze and the flow of spirit energy slowed to a near standstill. Gravity Star. In turn, Starfall channeled his abilities into his domain, morphing it into a smaller but dark and foreboding star. While it lacked the brilliance of the others, its gravitational pull was immense, distorting the very fabric of space around it. The ground far below buckled under its crushing force, forming a deep crater as it pressed down from above, embodying the principles of gravity itself. Stars encircle the sun. As the three immense celestial bodies aligned, Jiang Chengxuan's face grew more solemn. Star Elder Hu, Star Demon, and Starfall arranged themselves in a triangular formation, their respective stars beginning to orbit one another in a stellar formation. With each rotation, the energy within the star formation swelled, magnifying its power severalfold. The formation's aura radiated with suffocating intensity, injuring any cultivators too close. HMPH, Stars Encircle the Sun, is an ancient technique of the starry celestial sect, one that requires three earth immortals to unleash its true might. Star Elder Hu's voice boomed across the sky, his tone dripping with lethal intent. "Today, you will be its first sacrifice." Chapter 1449, Stars Encircle the Sun, 1 against 3 Part 2. As the colossal energy of the three rotating stars surged toward him, Jiang Chengxuan's calm appraisal had struck a nerve with Star Elder Hu. Now, wielding the overwhelming might of their unified attack, Star Elder Hu's voice reverberated across the battlefield. The energy locked firmly onto Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan, sealing them in an inescapable grip. But Jiang Chengxuan's only response was a composed nod as he evaluated. "Impressive. To harness Earth immortal strength to this degree is no small feat." His demeanor was so detached, it was as if he were a casual spectator rather than the target of the attack. Truthfully, Jiang Chengxuan was intrigued. He could appreciate the skill behind this formidable combined assault. Though formidable, however, Jiang Chengxuan could see that the technique required the unique methods of the starry celestial sect and could only be performed by Earth immortals within their ranks. A moment of silence followed before Star Elder Hu's expression twisted with anger. "Suppress him," he shouted, channeling the full power of the blazing sun, frigid moon, and crushing dark star at Jiang Chengxuan. Boom, boom, boom. With each thunderous blast, the world trembled, reversing sky and earth. The overwhelming aura of late-stage Earth immortal power descended, shaking even the heavens. Feeling its weight, Shen Ruyan, who had only recently broken into the Earth immortal realm, found herself almost paralyzed, with her lightning powers retreating back within her. Yet she remained unfazed, fully assured of Jiang Chengxuan's strength. "Step back, my dear. I'll handle this," Jiang Chengxuan's calm voice instructed. Without a second thought, Shen Ruyan withdrew, collecting her celestial energy and moving to a safer distance. The sight puzzled Star Elders Hu, Xing, and Chen. Were they witnessing Jiang Chengxuan preparing to face them alone? Courting death. Infuriated, they intensified their efforts, believing Jiang Chengxuan's actions to be a grave insult to the might of the starry celestial sect. Primordial water and fire realm. Jiang Chengxuan's voice echoed as he invoked his realm. A torrent of primordial energy erupted like a storm, creating a cascade of blinding blue and red energy that split the sky in half, encompassing him in his expansive domain. The left side glowed with deep blue, while the right burned a fierce red, symbolizing ancient elements. Its energy was profound, primeval, and unrelenting as it pushed back against the oncoming star energy. Boom, boom, boom. The deafening explosions resounded through the blackened night, each colored by flashes of red and blue. The forces collided repeatedly, each impact devouring part of the surrounding space in a chaos of destruction. Amid this tremendous display, the power of the rotating stars came to a halt, unable to advance even an inch. Jiang Chengxuan had managed to resist the combined assault of the three Earth immortals all by himself. Impossible, Star Elder, whose confidence wavered as his eyes widened in shock, a creeping dread beginning to take hold. What kind of power is this, to withstand the full force of stars encircling the sun? With disbelief and fury, they pushed even harder, yet Jiang Chengxuan's primordial realm held firm, undeterred by their assault. Oh my goodness, what kind of technique can resist three Earth immortals at once? In the distance, the onlookers were in awe, struggling to accept the spectacle. Seasoned cultivators among them could sense the immense power behind Jiang Chengxuan's technique, realizing that his cultivation must have reached terrifying heights, possibly higher than Star Elder who, despite Jiang's relatively young age. I won't accept this. Triple star rotation. Unleash all power. Star Elder who, face contorted with anger, summoned every ounce of his energy, channeling it into the three stars. The celestial bodies blazed with even greater intensity. The sun swelled, blanketing the sky with flames. The cold star froze all within its reach, and the dark star distorted space around it. Jiang Chengxuan's surroundings shifted violently between searing heat, bone-chilling cold, and unbearable weight. Every second he faced a different form of suppression, each more intense than the last. Not bad, he acknowledged, his tone serious as he gauged the depth of their ability. This technique was indeed formidable, seamlessly merging their combined strengths into a singular force. It could easily have overpowered most late-stage Earth immortals. However, Jiang Chengxuan was not so easily subdued. Taking a step forward, he wove golden-white runes with each footfall, his mastery evident. His aura expanded as he drew upon the Tao of the five elements, reincarnation and life and death. Visions of flourishing forests, cyclical rebirths, and the duality of existence shimmered around him. His presence shifted between material and ethereal, his form blurring as he advanced toward the three Earth immortals. In the blink of an eye, Jiang Chengxuan appeared before Star Elder Hu, catching him off guard. Star Elder Hu could hardly react before Jiang Chengxuan struck. The blow was seemingly slow, yet inescapable, slipping past all defenses. It landed on Star Elder Hu's crown with an otherworldly force that disrupted all his internal energies. His strength wavered, his Tao energy suppressed by the invading power that overwhelmed his spirit. Star Elder Hu gasped, feeling the shocking backlash within him. The three-star formation unraveled instantly, collapsing as its forces surged back, smashing into him. The formation's balance shattered, and the three stars imploded in a wave of power. The unleashed energy cascaded downward, consuming everything in its path. Chapter 1450, Exchanging Treasures for Territory, a Test of Strength. In the vast expanse of the heavens, three blazing stars that had been circling in a display of awe-inspiring power, interwoven with vast celestial energy, seemed unstoppable. This tremendous force clashed with Jiang Chengxuan's dual-element illusion of primordial water and fire, each devouring the other in a constant flux, releasing terrifying waves of power. Yet with Jiang Chengxuan's abrupt and overpowering counterattack, this delicate balance shattered. The rotating stars stilled for a moment, and then, like an avalanche, a torrent of celestial power collapsed inward. From a distance, it was like witnessing the collapse of the universe, as though the Milky Way had been cleaved in two, the stars cascading from the heavens, splitting the sky and earth. This is the true pinnacle of celestial warfare. It's as if the world itself is ending. To witness this in my lifetime, I could die without regrets. It's beyond belief. This is what it means to reach the peak of the immortal Tao. Astonished gasps erupted among the observing cultivators from various factions, their eyes wide with awe. The sheer scale of energy unleashed by the clash of these five powerhouses was akin to a natural disaster. The destructive power of this single confrontation was enough to annihilate an entire realm. What kind of technique did Jiang Chengxuan use? He completely bypassed the sealed formation of the stars. The starry celestial sex combined strike is supposed to be as strong as a late-stage Earth immortal, and yet it was so easily dismantled. This is terrifying. His techniques are truly beyond mortal comprehension. High-ranking immortals and Earth immortal-level cultivators alike focused intensely on Jiang Chengxuan's methods. They couldn't understand his powers, which were far beyond their knowledge and experience. Earth immortal battles were not new to them, but to see a power that seemingly disregarded another's foundational Tao principles was unheard of. Unknown to them, Jiang Chengxuan had surpassed the level of an Earth immortal, standing on the cusp of heavenly immortal. To him, the comprehension of Tao by Earth immortals was relatively elementary. Empowered by his near-heavenly immortal realm's embryonic formation of a celestial domain, he moved freely within the constructs of Tao, as effortlessly as drifting through water or air. In other words, he operated on an entirely different level and dimension. With a thunderous boom, the tides of battle turned. The enormous celestial power backfired, hurling Star Elder Hu, Star Elder Xing, and Star Elder Chen down from the skies, smashing them into the earth. In their titanic fall, several star fortresses of the starry celestial sect were caught in the blast, destroyed on impact, leaving many disciples and sect members injured or dead. The battlefield grew silent, the stillness broken only by the occasional echo of pain cries lingering in the void. Jiang Chengxuan made no move to pursue, simply hovering above, casting his gaze upon the scene below. His forceful counterattack had torn open the dark sky, allowing the radiance of the stars beyond to pour over him, his shadow stretching endlessly. It was as though an eternal night had fallen over the hearts of the starry celestial sect's disciples. Our elders have been defeated. No, I don't believe it. He must have used some evil technique to deceive us. There's no way our elders would lose. This must be an illusion. It has to be. The sight of their defeat shook the starry celestial sect's disciples to their core, causing their resolve to waver. Some began weeping, others, their faces twisted in denial, clung to excuses that could bring them even a moment of solace. But the shattered star fortresses and the fragments scattered across the battlefield were all too real. Their pain and confusion could not be ignored. In the silence that followed, any self-deception was shattered. Countless disciples wept, tossing aside their immortal treasures and weapons. Even the stern, imposing elders were silent, frozen in place. On the battlefield, the collapsed stars stirred terrifying waves of energy that none could counteract. They could do nothing to aid their fallen elders. This war, prepared and anticipated for so long, had seemed destined to reshape the immortal domain. Yet, to everyone's astonishment, it ended suddenly and unexpectedly. 3 Earth immortals, combining their strength, were subdued by Jiang Chengxuan alone. This astounding feat was enough to etch his name into history. As the energy waves gradually calmed, countless gazes, filled with hope or dread, awaited a miraculous resurgence from the 3 starry celestial elders. But eventually, the swirling energy stilled, and the 3 fallen stars never rose back to the heavens. There was no doubt, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan had won. Yes, those wretched starry celestial sect elders are finally getting what they deserve. Sai, what will become of our families now, here in the Starfallen Plains? That Jiang Chengxuan, that western continent. After this, they're certain to rise. We should build some alliances as soon as possible. As the news spread, reactions varied. Some cheered. Those who had suffered under the starry celestial sect during the great calamity rejoiced in seeing justice met. Others, like the native sects of the Starfallen Plains, were left wondering about their futures. The starry celestial sect may not have given them much status, but they had survived here for thousands of years. Now, being drawn into the western continent's sphere of influence left them feeling lost and uncertain. Chapter 1451, Trading Treasure for Territory, A Test of Wits Part 2. Some opportunistic cultivators, quick to recognize the western continent's impending rise, were already calculating when they journey there to join friends and allies. Meanwhile, the ancient sects that had held power in the central continent for untold years viewed the sudden defeat of the starry celestial sect with a sense of shared doom. These elders all fixated on Jiang Chengxuan with deep trepidation. After the great calamity, they had frequently plundered other regions for resources, sowing chaos in their wake. The Red Dragon sect's incursion had been only one example. Now, with the western continent rising as a formidable player, they feared they might soon find themselves on the receiving end. The abrupt power shift left these ancient forces feeling increasingly uneasy. especially as they contemplated what might happen if Jiang Chengxuan eventually turned his attention toward them. Today, his display of unfathomable power only deepened their unease. "You may leave," Jiang Chengxuan's cold voice echoed from above, drawing everyone's attention. "I will grant you a path out. As compensation, the Starfallen Plains will now belong to the Scattered Immortals Alliance." What? He's actually letting Star Elder Hu and the others go. Does he not understand that leaving a threat unchecked is courting future disaster? This declaration left the gathered immortals muttering in astonishment and doubt. Though defeated, the three elders of the starry celestial sect still retained formidable power. Jiang Chengxuan's decision to let them go could well lead to vengeance down the line. What these onlookers didn't realize was that Jiang Chengxuan had meticulously planned this outcome from the start. He had never truly intended to destroy or conquer the starry celestial sect. Rather, he had used this encounter as an opportunity to subtly draw out the elusive transforming heavenly stone. Moreover, to avoid entangling himself in certain karmic forces, he couldn't directly mention the stone's name, as it would likely alert others and trigger a series of causative calamities. As for the starry celestial sect's potential vendetta, he was unconcerned. Once he completed his ascension to the celestial immortal realm, even 100 sects of their caliber wouldn't be able to lay a finger on him. Right now, with tensions high across the realms, Jiang Chengxuan had no desire to leave a trail of death in his wake, which would only provoke backlash and breed resentment. This caution was his way of avoiding unnecessary karmic entanglements. You. Amidst the vast pit and the broken celestial stars, the battered figures of Star Elder Hu and his comrades slowly emerged, visibly stunned. Even they hadn't expected Jiang Chengxuan to release a tiger back into the wild. They had been bracing for one last, desperate struggle when his words reached them. The three exchanged looks before turning their gaze toward Jiang Chengxuan. Observing his calm and unhurried expression, they realized he truly had no intention of attacking again. A sense of relief washed over them, as the oppressive weight Jiang Chengxuan had brought upon them was still fresh in their minds. His mysterious power had easily dismantled their revered ancient combined attack technique, leaving them questioning everything they thought they knew. "Elder Star Hu, what should we do?" In the silence, Star Elder Chen and Star Elder Shao were stripped of their usual arrogance and anxiously reached out to Elder Star Hu, the most senior among them, for guidance. While they didn't want to continue fighting, they couldn't accept the idea of giving up control of the Starfallen Plains. This land, if ceded to the Scattered Immortals Alliance, would place a rival on their doorstep, a constant threat. Jiang Chengxuan could easily erode the starry celestial sect's influence, leaving them in eventual ruin. Feeling the growing tension, Elder Star Hu fell into deep thought. Jiang Chengxuan's gaze, meanwhile, held a hint of amusement as he patiently waited in the air, exerting no pressure on them to act. Finally, as the gathered crowd watched in bewilderment, Elder Star Hu turned toward Jiang Chengxuan and slowly spoke. "This battle, we, the starry celestial sect, admit our defeat." With those words they declared their surrender, sparking conflicting emotions of bitterness, shame, and, unexpectedly, relief among their disciples. Those witnessing the surrender were divided. Some saw it as pragmatic, while others derided it as cowardice. None, however, dared speak out, choosing instead to watch quietly. "However, the Starfallen Plains, we cannot relinquish them under any circumstances." Elder Star, whose voice regained its sharpness, rekindling tension across the battlefield, thickening the air with an impending storm. Could it be that the starry celestial sect would go so far as to risk mutual destruction? "Oh," Jiang Chengxuan's calm reply held an edge, his unbothered expression seeming to say that he was entirely indifferent to their lives or deaths. Hearing his nonchalant response, Elder Star, who felt a chill, worried Jiang Chengxuan might unleash another ruthless blow. Hurriedly, he added, "Regarding the matter of Qingyun province, our starry celestial sect is willing to compensate with treasures and resources in exchange for your withdrawal from the Starfallen Plains." The tension among the onlookers eased slightly as the stakes were clarified. However, would Jiang Chengxuan accept such an offer? Starfallen Plains was clearly an ideal foothold for him to expand into the central continent. Giving it up so easily would seem highly unlikely. Many among the astute observers in the crowd believed this decision would reveal Jiang Chengxuan's intentions toward the central continent's future. If he refused, it would signal ambitions for conquest. If he accepted, it would show that he was still watching, not yet committed to taking control. Thus, his response carried implications not just for the starry celestial sect's fate, but for the central continent's future power dynamics. After a long silence, under the gaze of countless onlookers, Jiang Chengxuan finally smiled, neither refusing nor agreeing outright. There's hope, then. To those who understood the unspoken signals, this small gesture confirmed it. He might be willing to trade, but it would depend on the value offered. Jiang Chengxuan's presence today was, it seemed, a test rather than an all-out action. Relieved, several observing celestial immortals exhaled, feeling less pressured. Star Elders Hu, Chen, and Xiao likewise saw a glimmer of hope. Without hesitation, Elder Star Hu summoned his energy, drawing an item from his storage ring. The moment it emerged, celestial energies grew lively as primal force gathered, and dark clouds swirled in the sky, releasing a gentle spring rain. The primal spirit tree, to think that Elder Hu had such a treasure. One sharp-eyed cultivator immediately recognized the object, crying out in astonishment. Gasps spread among the crowd as they eyed the treasure, their gazes filled with awe. It seemed Elder Star Hu was truly conceding defeat, as his first offering was none other than a supremely rare primal treasure. The primal spirit tree, formed over millennia from the essence of wood spirits, was incredibly valuable. It provided an immense source of primal power, ideal for cultivation, and held a vast reservoir of life force that could significantly extend lifespan and regenerate the body, a supreme treasure for both survival and cultivation. When Elder Star, who had obtained it tens of thousands of years ago, he had initially planned to absorb its energy himself but chose to preserve it instead, saving it for a desperate time. Now, at this critical moment, it had become their bargaining chip, a rather ironic turn of events. Impressive. Jiang Chengxuan nodded subtly, his eyes glinting with interest, yet after voicing his approval he remained silent. Chapter 1452, Three Rare Treasures, Awe of the Immortals, Part 1. Facing Elder Star, whose offer of the exquisite primal spirit tree, Jiang Chengxuan, though expressing approval, soon fell silent again. This response was unmistakably clear to everyone. The gift, though appreciated, was not enough. To gain the Starfallen Plains, they would need to show far greater sincerity. Elder Star Hu understood immediately. Without delay or resistance, he wrapped the primal spirit tree in a field of celestial energy, suspending it in the air like a radiant beacon. Then, with a slight nod, he delved back into his storage ring, triggering a brilliant light. Witnessing this, many of the onlookers, immortal cultivators, disciples of the starry celestial sect, and the like, turned their gazes towards him, their expressions filled with eager anticipation. The treasures of a celestial immortal were bound to be rare and precious. For most immortals, these were things they might never see in their lifetime, and here was a rare opportunity to witness them firsthand. A soft hum filled the air as Elder Star Hu revealed a small, seemingly ordinary pill. Its surface was rough and irregular, resembling a lump of dough rather than a rare elixir. Lacking any visible energy or aura, it looked like something one might toss aside without a second thought. Had it not come from the hand of Elder Star Hu, most would have dismissed it as mere trinket. What is this? It looks so ordinary. Could it be Elder Star Hu took out the wrong item? It has almost no energy signature. Curious whispers spread through the crowd as puzzled gazes locked onto the unassuming pill. Even some of the elders and disciples of the starry celestial sect looked tense, fearing that their esteemed elder might be trying to cut corners with such a seemingly useless object. Others wondered if this was some elaborate trick. Only a few celestial immortals seemed to be in deep contemplation, sensing faint traces of primordial energy emanating from the pill, though so subtle it was barely perceptible. Does the honored guest know the nature of this item? Elder Star Hu asked, his expression a sly mix of composure and pride as he addressed Jiang Chengxuan. The battle might have ended in their defeat, but this display of treasures was also a way for the starry celestial sect to showcase its ancient lineage and deep heritage. Though vanquished, they wanted the world to know they still possessed unparalleled artifacts accumulated over countless generations. The fact that they could present items beyond Jiang Chengxuan's knowledge was, in a way, a subtle victory. Amused, Jiang Chengxuan caught the gleam in Elder Star Hu's eyes, noting his intention. A faint smile crossed his face as he replied, "This is a pill." A mocking sneer spread across Elder Star Hu's face, while the onlookers stifled laughter. They thought to themselves that anyone could tell it was a pill. Jiang Chengxuan's answer seemed almost comical, but wary of his strength, no one dared openly mock him. Truly, the guest is most observant. Seizing the opportunity, Elder Star Hu was about to add a snide comment when Jiang Chengxuan interrupted, his tone calm but unwavering. This pill is known as the celestial elixir, Jiang Chengxun explained, an ancient pill crafted through forbidden techniques. It requires the essence of an ancient sacred body as a primary component, along with a host of primordial ingredients. At first, it appears plain and inert, with no discernible power or effects, yet the true mystery lies in its ability to mature over time. After 10,000 years, it becomes potent enough to grant a significant boost in cultivation, even to celestial immortals. Am I correct, Elder Starhu? The audience gasped as Jiang Chengxuan recounted the elixir's history and properties in astonishing detail. Many now looked to Elder Starhu in awe, realizing the humble pill was far more than it seemed. Celestial immortals among the crowd, who had felt only faint traces of energy, now recognized the pill's true essence, its aura and purpose clicking into place. Even Elder Starhu, who had previously been smug, now stood stunned, his expression frozen in shock. This celestial elixir had been obtained from an ancient relic thousands of years ago, a former domain of an immortal alchemist. Based on what he'd found in that relic, he knew the pill's name and that it required 10,000 years to mature. Yet the specifics Jiang Chengxuan mentioned, like the use of a sacred body as the primary component, had been unknown even to him. Chapter 1453, Three Rare Treasures, Awe of the Immortals, Part 2. When Jiang Chengxuan finished speaking, the scene fell into a prolonged silence. Elder Starhu stood frozen in place, unsure how to respond. A moment ago, he had been inwardly mocking Jiang Chengxuan for his supposed ignorance. But in the next instant, Jiang Chengxuan's actions proved that the truly ignorant one was himself. Jiang's gaze rested on Starhu with a hint of knowing amusement, as though he could see through Starhu's every thought. Surrounded by the scrutiny of so many immortals, Starhu felt his face burn with embarrassment. But he was, after all, a seasoned elder who had weathered countless storms. In the face of life and death, he quickly adjusted his mindset, reminding himself that a bruised ego was a small price to pay for survival. I must admit you're right. Every word is true, Starhu replied through gritted teeth, forcing a smile despite the pain it brought him. This precious elixir had been one of his most prized possessions, carefully preserved for his own use when he planned to break through the later stages of the celestial immortal realm. Yet now, he was offering it up to Jiang Chengxuan. Along with the primal spirit tree, these two treasures were treasures of such rarity that they could easily spark wars among celestial immortals. Even Jiang Chengxuan's eyes sparkled with genuine admiration as he remarked, "The starry celestial sect truly has deep reserves of wealth and heritage. Impressive." The value of these two treasures was undeniable. Even he, without the right fortune or opportunities, would have struggled to obtain them. Although Jiang was already half a step into the celestial realm, these essential treasures would be of great benefit to his companion Shen Ruyan. But Starhu, Starscourge, and Starfall couldn't help but feel a strange bitterness at Jiang's praise. All their heritage and strength were, at this moment, merely gifts for another. Their carefully guarded treasures, now stripped from them, had become a burden. After a long silence, Starhu held up the two treasures and asked, "Would these two offerings be enough to satisfy you?" His question drew everyone's attention once again. Such potent treasures were already enough to make others envious, but Jiang Chengxuan held the life and death of the starry celestial sect in his hands. Would he truly let them go so easily? All the watching immortals subtly shook their heads, convinced that Jiang would never spare the starry celestial sect without a steeper price. Though the value of these treasures was enough to rival a whole domain, they still fell short of buying an entire sect's survival. True to expectation, Jiang's gaze narrowed in thought, and with a slight smile, he calmly raised a single finger. At this, Starhu and the other two elders paled, their expressions hardening and their fists clenched, as a surge of aura pulsed around them. Jiang's message was clear. He wanted yet another treasure of comparable value before he would agree to leave. This was a demand without compromise. But the starry celestial sect was now like fish on a chopping block, waiting to be carved up. No matter how unwilling they felt, could they really gamble their entire foundation and throw away a millennia-old legacy? Material treasures could always be recovered in time, but if the sect were scattered or destroyed, how could they ever rebuild? Elder Starhu, Starscourge, and Starfall murmured nervously, fearing that their elder might act rashly and endanger the entire sect. Starhu took a deep breath, gestured for them to remain calm, and finally made his decision. After a brief hesitation, he drew out another treasure, veiled in a shimmering aura of celestial light. The third treasure was a trident, a weapon of formidable might, about the length of an arm, glowing with a deep, mysterious starlight. The trident's appearance caused ripples of energy to pulse through the air, filling the space with an imposing sharpness. "A pseudo-celestial weapon," someone exclaimed. "What a lavish offering! Who would have thought Star who possessed such a weapon?" The leaders of various factions and celestial immortals were stunned. While not entirely unheard of, pseudo-celestial weapons were still exceedingly rare. True celestial weapons were limited, near-mythical items in the celestial domain, only available to those with rare fortune. In contrast, pseudo-celestial weapons represented the highest caliber of weapons that modern celestial craftsmen could create. Even among celestial immortals, many still relied on lesser tools, merely augmenting their abilities with celestial energy but lacking any real power within the weapons themselves. Against a true celestial weapon, such as Jiang Chengxuan's Tai Chu water and fire sword, they would be rendered useless. Given this, the pseudo-celestial trident's value was undeniable. Crafting such a weapon required the combined expertise of multiple celestial immortal-level artisans and the incorporation of rare materials. In terms of worth, it was easily comparable to the otherworldly treasures. "This celestial weapon is rare indeed. I need not say more." Star, who spoke with renewed confidence, holding the trident as he cast Jiang a sidelong glance, regaining some of his composure. In his mind, Star who couldn't help but feel a tinge of satisfaction. This trident had been a reliable weapon that had aided him in several victories against powerful foes. If not for Jiang's own enigmatic techniques, which had rendered him unable to wield the trident effectively, Star, who believed his defeat, would not have come so quickly. However, unlike the shocked reactions of those around him, Jiang Chengxuan remained calm and indifferent. Without so much as a hint of approval, he slowly shook his head, stating, "This weapon does not measure up to the other two." Star Hu's eyes widened in shock, and he frowned in frustration. Many of the observing immortals exchanged baffled glances, struggling to understand. After all, by anyone's estimation, this pseudo-celestial weapon was no lesser than the first two treasures. For many celestial immortals, if given a choice to keep only two of the three treasures, they would have foregone the primal spirit tree. Did Jiang's dismissal imply he was scheming for something greater? "Sir, you're being unreasonable," Star Scourge snapped, stepping forward with a scowl. "This weapon is a pseudo-celestial artifact," Starfall added sharply. "Its value is evident to all. Such a baseless rejection is beyond absurd." Many of the watching immortals shared their sentiment, believing Jiang had ulterior motives. Jiang's expression, however, remained unchanged. He said nothing. Instead, he extended his hand into the void, and in the next instant, a brilliant light burst forth, engulfing the entire sky. In Jiang's grasp appeared a sword, its hilt entwined with crimson and azure dragons. The sword's presence reverberated through the air, generating a soft, calming hum. The immense energy radiating from it held a profound, otherworldly power, suppressing all nearby energies. The pseudo-celestial trident quivered, emitting a faint, mournful sound as if it were a lone boat caught in a tempest. Its sharp, unyielding aura quickly retreated, leaving it subdued before Jiang's weapon. "Hiss!" All who witnessed this scene gasped, their faces etched with disbelief as they stared at Jiang's weapon. Is this a true celestial weapon?" "Impossible. True celestial artifacts haven't surfaced in the domain for tens of thousands of years." The crowd was left in stunned silence, with their gazes locked on the sword. The weapon's mere presence was enough to make them shiver. Chapter 1454, Treasures in Hand, the Final Condition, Part 1. No wonder Jiang Chengxuan seemed indifferent to the celestial weapon that Elder Star who had presented. It turned out that he possessed an actual celestial immortal weapon. With such a treasure in his hands, what other weapon could hope to captivate him? Round him, the crowd of immortals suddenly understood, their gazes filled with both envy and awe. The appearance of the Tai Chu water and fire sword only made Jiang Chengxuan's status appear even more mysterious and formidable. With a celestial immortal weapon and his unfathomable techniques, who among his peers could challenge him? Elders Starhu, Starfall, and Star Scourge each wore complex expressions. No wonder Jiang had been unfazed by their combined assault. With a celestial immortal weapon, his power was unmatched. During their previous battle, though Jiang had tapped into the Tai Chu water and fire sword's power, he had yet to reveal its full might, leaving them unaware of its true nature until now. Celestial immortal weapons were heavenly creations of unmatched rarity, born from a convergence of immense universal energy over eons. Their rarity surpassed even that of celestial immortals themselves. To wield such a weapon to its full potential in a one-on-one duel was to guarantee victory. In a two-on-one, it would even the odds, and against 3 opponents, it would at least provide a fighting chance. Such was the terrifying power of a celestial immortal weapon. "I already have a suitable weapon," Jiang Chengxuan said with a slight smile, his eyes scanning the crowd. "It's not that I'm intentionally being difficult." Silence fell over the crowd. Those who had speculated about Jiang's intentions now averted their gazes, unsure how to respond, and even Elders Star Scourge and Starfall had no retort, their faces dark with frustration. With a celestial immortal weapon in hand, Jiang's claim of indifference to lesser treasures held weight beyond question. Inside, Jiang was pleased. His plan had worked. Though he already had the Tai Chu water and fire sword and Shen Ruyan wielded the 5 thunder immortal sword, this pseudo-celestial weapon could still be of great use to the Alliance's other masters, boosting their combat prowess significantly. His refusal, then, was not due to a lack of interest, but rather a strategic ploy to secure his real target, the elusive transmutable heavenly stone. This piece of star fragment plane held significant value, roughly equivalent to 3 prized treasures, and anything more would likely push Starry Celestial Sect to abandon the deal entirely. Although he controlled the sect's fate, inciting direct conflict with them would yield little benefit. After all, Central Continent housed many hidden powers, mysterious forces that remained concealed. Though Western Continent's power was rising, it was unwise to fully engage in Central Continent at this time. So in his plan, Jiang intended to reject the 3rd treasure regardless of its value, even going so far as to reveal a more precious weapon to dissuade them from any further attempts at bargaining. This would signal that he was not a typical cultivator who could be enticed by common treasures, and that he came solely to claim his prize, not to stir up deeper schemes. As Jiang observed the faces of the crowd shifting in realization, he knew his plan had succeeded. Now, the most critical moment awaited, the question of whether Elder Star who would present the transmutable heavenly stone. To most, this item's function would seem obscure, its true use only essential for a celestial immortal's breakthrough, making it appear merely as a unique source of elemental essence. "Well, since you say so, we'll keep the weapon," Star Who said, retracting the pseudo-celestial weapon, though his face remained tight with strain. "But understand, Starry Celestial Sect has suffered greatly in this disaster, losing numerous treasures. Going forward." His words implied a reluctance to part with more precious artifacts, signaling a strained patience, as if urging Jiang not to push further lest the deal fall apart entirely. Jiang only smiled in response, refraining from any reply. Whatever the cost, the transmutable heavenly stone was within his sights. "Ah," Star Who sighed deeply. "Under the eaves one must bow." After a moment of hesitation, he reluctantly extended his hand, drawing out one final item. This time, a soft, radiant glow spread outward, as if a sea of stars had been unleashed from his storage ring, filling the sky. The pure essence of the stone filled the air with a vibrant, ethereal energy, and an almost enchanting, fluid sensation swept over everyone present. The immortals focused intently, watching as a substance resembling crystalline stone essence materialized in Star Who's hand. It looked like a glossy, transparent clay, interspersed with sparkling crystals of various colors. Gradually, the stone's surface began to shimmer, transforming into a cloud-like mist, exuding a boundless, dreamlike quality. Jiang's expression remained calm, but inside he was thrilled. There it was, unmistakably, the transmutable heavenly stone. This stone was a marvel capable of endless transformations, its essence constantly shifting through countless elemental affinities and laws of nature. Chapter 1455, Treasures in Hand, the Final Condition, Part 2. Seeing the object in Elder Star Who's hand, Jiang Chengxuan knew it was exactly the transmutable heavenly stone he was after. For most celestial immortals, such a stone would be difficult to fully grasp due to its complexity, making it valuable only for its raw elemental essence or a few law traces. However, for Jiang Chengxuan, already standing on the threshold of becoming a celestial immortal, the transmutable heavenly stone was far more precious. The stone held a microcosm of celestial laws, and unlocking its boundless transformations was precisely what Jiang needed to make the leap to true immortality. "Oh, and what might this be?" Jiang asked nonchalantly, feigning curiosity. "What a strange energy. It seems Elder Star Who has quite the collection." "Isn't that the legendary transmutable heavenly stone?" murmured someone among the crowd, sparking discussion, as immortals speculated, admired, or recognized the stone's identity. Elder Star Who, watching Jiang's face closely, could barely conceal his anxiety. He feared Jiang might again dismiss the offering, as he had done with the pseudo-celestial immortal artifact. Little did he know, Jiang was already celebrating internally, having achieved his objective. "Very well, I'll accept this," Jiang finally replied, feigning reluctance as he nodded and reached for the stone. With a simple gesture, he cast a wave of gentle immortal energy toward Star who, collecting the transmutable heavenly stone, the origin essence tree, and the heavenly elixir in a single sweep. Around him, the other immortals looked on with blazing envy and fascination, especially the disciples and elders of the starry celestial sect, who could only watch helplessly as their sect's treasures left with Jiang. No one dared try to seize the treasures. Doing so would risk offending not only Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan, but also Elder Star Hu, Elder Star Fall, and Elder Star Scourge, a certain death sentence. "Let us consider matters in Qingyun Prefecture resolved then," Jiang declared, his voice reverberating, "until we meet again." With that, he and Shen Ruyan unleashed a surge of celestial energy, activating a vast spatial force that rocketed them toward the heavens. The massive formation covering hundreds of miles began to recede, folding inward as beams of silver light streamed back toward Jiang, merging into his own domain. High above, the colossal silver city that had loomed over Star Fragment Plain slowly dissipated, revealing the clear sky once more. Elder Star Hu and the others let out a collective sigh of relief as they looked around, realizing Jiang and Shen had already departed. For many witnessing the event, the upheaval had finally ended. But Jiang Chengxuan's exploits, along with the power of the Western continent, had firmly placed them in the minds of Central Continent's mighty factions, the battle's tale already spreading through the realm. Afterward, within the reclusive Immortal Alliance's mountain domain, silvery waves rippled in the air as a portal opened, and two figures stepped out. "Congratulations, husband, on acquiring the treasure," Shen Ruyan beamed, slipping her arm through Jiang's as they entered. Jiang laughed, his eyes sparkling. Indeed, the transmutable heavenly stone was with Star Hu all along, though it took some effort to secure it. Of course, he didn't mean the physical battle, but the mental game of drawing out Star Hu's willingness to offer up the stone without arousing suspicion. For Jiang, overpowering the three elders was simple, even while restraining his strength to the celestial immortal stage. Yet drawing them into his plan and nudging them to voluntarily offer such treasures was a true test of wit. "But it's all over now, and everything went smoothly," he mused. "Not only did I secure the transmutable heavenly stone, but we've also shown Central Continent the strength of the reclusive Immortal Alliance." "Did this battle inspire any new insights for you?" Jiang asked Shen Ruyan after they chatted a while. Smiling, he retrieved the origin essence tree and heavenly elixir from his storage ring, filling the chamber with a vibrant glow and pure essence. The cavern transformed, becoming a dreamlike realm. "Here, these are yours," he said. Shen Ruyan's eyes widened as she took in the treasures, her eyes shimmering with gratitude. "Husband, this." The origin essence tree and heavenly elixir were no ordinary items. Each was a coveted artifact across the immortal realm, the likes of which even Jiang Chengxuan had rarely encountered. Though they were Tao companions, the weight of such a gift left her speechless. "There's no need to hold back between us," Jiang said softly, stroking her hair. "Besides, you've done your part in the great disaster and in this recent battle. I'd be stingy not to reward your efforts." Shen Ruyan blushed at his words, letting out a laugh before she promised, "Then I accept your gifts and will do everything to repay you." She gently took the treasures, marveling at the power contained within. The sheer essence within the origin essence tree alone would sustain her cultivation to the mid-celestial immortal stage. Time passed, and soon, Shen Ruyan entered closed-door meditation to process her newfound treasures and elevate her cultivation further. Meanwhile, Jiang Chengxuan found himself with some idle time, as his breakthrough required one final piece. Between his cultivation sessions, he dispatched people to track down the last item needed for his ascent to Celestial Immortal, spending his time perfecting his alchemy skills in the meantime. He focused on creating celestial-grade pills, distributing them among the Alliance's elders to strengthen their ranks. For him, concocting celestial-grade pills had become almost effortless, the ancient alchemy methods he had studied now mostly mastered. Only a few arcane recipes still eluded him, as they required rare ingredients not currently within his grasp. The days slipped by, with Jiang's alchemical expertise growing ever sharper, until a century later, the news he had been waiting for finally arrived. To his surprise, the final item was located in a place he knew all too well, a familiar destination that he had once visited. Chapter 1456, Return to the Immortal Insect Valley, Meeting an Old Acquaintance, Part 1. Immortal Insect Valley. Standing within a chamber suffused with the fragrance of medicinal herbs, Jiang Chengxuan, softly read aloud the information on the jade slip in his hand. His expression carried a trace of surprise as his brow furrowed slightly. The three words, relayed from the reclusive Immortal Alliance's intelligence network, instantly drew his thoughts back to a time thousands of years ago. Back then, he and Shen Ruyan had only recently reunited in the Xianxia Immortal domain. His cultivation had merely been at the peak of the true immortal realm, and he was in the process of seeking an opportunity to break through to the celestial immortal stage. To that end, he had accepted an invitation to attend the myriad treasures gathering held by the Tianlong Merchant Guild in the central continent, hoping to exchange for the materials he needed to advance. It was at that gathering that Jiang, still a true immortal, first met immortal Fuguang. The latter, discerning Jiang's ambitions, recognized his immense potential and chose to assist Jiang in hopes of forming an alliance with this promising cultivator. Not only did immortal Fuguang explain the concept of the celestial immortal determinant, but he also provided Jiang with intelligence on a crucial resource for his breakthrough, the 5 elements immortal stone. This precious stone, Fuguang revealed, was located in none other than the Immortal Insect Valley, one of the forbidden zones within the Xianxia Immortal domain. According to legend, the valley was the remnant of an ancient heavenly immortal's domain, containing profound secrets and grave dangers. Its fearsome reputation had spread far and wide. At that time, Jiang was merely a true immortal, yet he resolved to venture into the valley in search of the 5 elements immortal stone. By chance, he formed a team with 4 others, Immortal Qiliang, a female disciple from the Fengshan Immortal sect, Immortal Qing, and an elder from the Haodu Immortal sect. Together, they embarked on their treasure-seeking journey. By carefully leveraging their combined knowledge and skills, the group successfully infiltrated the Immortal Insect Valley and obtained numerous treasures. However, greed led to tragedy. The elder from the Haodu Immortal sect provoked a conflict with the Golden Cicada Demon Immortal. The incident forced the group into a hasty retreat, and the Haodu elder ultimately perished in the chaos. It was only through Jiang Chengxuan's power as a half-step celestial immortal that the group survived. He slew the monstrous spider demon and endured an attack from a mysterious celestial immortal-level insect demon, enabling the others to escape. After the group disbanded, Jiang and Shen Ruyan returned to the valley covertly. Using spatial puppets to scout the area, they located and claimed the 5 elements immortal stone. During this second venture, they even encountered the gravely wounded Golden Cicada Demon Immortal, who had escaped from another dimension. Jiang subdued the creature, making it an unexpected ally. Nearly 10,000 years had passed since that time. The great calamity had reshaped the world, and Jiang couldn't help but wonder about the fate of his former companions, Immortal Qiliang, Immortal Qing, and the others. Were they even alive? Reflecting on these memories, Jiang felt a twinge of sentimentality. It seemed that he and Shen Ruyan were destined to return to this perilous place once more. Even with his current strength, which bordered on the celestial immortal stage, Jiang couldn't help but feel a trace of unease. He vividly remembered that the valley housed at least 3 celestial immortal-level insect demons. "We must not be careless." His soft murmur echoed throughout the chamber, its gravity palpable. High above a deep and shadowy canyon shrouded in dense mist, ripples of spatial energy spread outward. A brilliant portal of light suddenly opened, and 2 figures emerged, their formidable presence dispelling the haze. Husband, this immortal insect valley remains intact even after the calamity." A clear, cool voice broke the silence. It was none other than Shen Ruyan, her gaze piercing through the thick mist below. From their vantage point, the valley appeared familiar yet subtly different. Though the once abundant immortal flora no longer thrived as vibrantly, the valley remained a land of treasures, radiating divine brilliance and energy. Remarkably, it bore no signs of devastation from the great calamity. However, the entire valley was now cloaked in an eerie blue hue, with a fine layer of what appeared to be snow blanketing its surface. Indeed, this place has long been rumored to be the remnants of a heavenly immortal's domain. Judging by its current state, that seems highly likely, Jiang replied, his interest piqued. Now, as celestial immortals, the pair could perceive far more than they had in the past. Above the immortal insect valley hung a peculiar energy field, an enigmatic veil that partially separated it from the rest of the immortal world while still maintaining a tenuous connection. Let's go. Without further hesitation, the two transformed into streaks of light, descending silently into the canyon. Upon entering, they discovered that the snow covering the valley wasn't snow at all. Instead, it was composed of countless fine silk-like threads that enshrouded everything within the valley. The eerie blue hue came from a powdery substance scattered across the surface of these threads. It coated every rock, plant, and surface within the valley. Chirp, chirp. A golden light flitted out from Jiang's shoulder, accompanied by excited chirping. It was the golden cicada demon immortal, its tiny form vibrating with energy as it darted around Jiang in joy. This was the creature's birthplace, and Jiang had brought it along to revisit its homeland, though he had no specific expectations in mind. The cicada's delight was palpable as it zipped around, savoring the familiar aura of the valley. Jiang and Shen observed its antics with faint smiles, refraining from interrupting. Yet as they surveyed their surroundings, it became evident that the valley had changed. One notable difference was the scarcity of insect demons. Chapter 1457, Return to the Immortal Insect Valley, Meeting an Old Acquaintance, Part 2. Be it amidst mountain crevices or deep within the forests, not a single trace of insect demons could be found. This was an unusual and unsettling phenomenon. The Immortal Insect Valley was said to harbor billions of insect demons, akin to grains of sand scattered throughout the valley. Back when Jiang Chengxuan and his companions first infiltrated, they had to seize the opportunity during the insects' moon-gazing ritual to proceed undetected. Husband, look over there. At Jiang Chengxuan's side, Shen Ruyan suddenly pointed to a particular spot in the distance. Following her gaze, Jiang's eyes landed on an eerie skeletal tree that towered into the clouds. That's... Jiang immediately recognized the site. The location where the tree stood was precisely where he had slain the monstrous spider demon immortal in the past. Time flows relentlessly. To think this remnant still remains, Jiang mused, his tone tinged with nostalgia. Shen Ruyan's eyes glimmered as she too reflected on those events. I wonder how our companions from that time are faring now, she said softly. She was reminded of a female cultivator from the Xianxia Immortal sect, with whom she had shared conversations during their previous journey into the Immortal Insect Valley. Just as the pair began to reminisce, a shrill chirping broke the silence. Zee. The golden cicada demon immortal flew back toward them in a flurry of golden light, its cries urgent. Sensing its distress, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan immediately grew vigilant. They exchanged a glance before following the cicada's guidance to a specific location. Through the bond of their oath, the two could decipher the cicada's warnings. It had discovered traces of human cultivators nearby. With their speed, they reached the designated area in a matter of moments. Upon arrival, they noticed a trail of faint yet distinct imprints in the void, resembling hurried footprints. Who would venture into the Immortal Insect Valley at a time like this? Jiang Chengxuan wondered aloud, his tone laced with curiosity. The Immortal Insect Valley was infamous as one of the most treacherous places in the northern continent. Why would anyone risk entering it now, amid the chaos gripping the immortal domain? Husband, these tracks are erratic and hasty. It's clear that whoever left them was fleeing from danger, Shen Ruyan remarked, her brows furrowing as she analyzed the scene. Jiang nodded. The northern continent is in turmoil. If my guess is correct, someone might have been forced to seek refuge here in desperation. Shen Ruyan considered his words for a moment before asking, should we intervene? Though the two of them now wielded great power, their primary goal on this journey was to secure the resources for Jiang Chengxuan's breakthrough. They couldn't afford unnecessary distractions. After a moment of deliberation, Jiang finally nodded. Since we've stumbled upon this, we may as well take a look. Very well, Shen Ruyan agreed without hesitation. With their celestial powers, the pair began to follow the trail of imprints deeper into the valley. Elsewhere in the Immortal Insect Valley. Ha, where do you think you're going, Chilling? Today marks the end of your miserable life. Amidst the dense mist, multiple figures streaked through the sky. Leading the group was a male cultivator clad in crimson gold robes. Cradling an unconscious woman in his arms, his bloodshot eyes betrayed his desperation as he poured his remaining strength into fleeing. Behind him were 5 figures draped in black robes, their powerful auras emanating malice. They rode on dark winds, relentlessly closing in on the fleeing man. If Jiang Chengxuan were present, he would immediately recognize the fleeing cultivator. It was none other than immortal Qiliang, one of his old companions from the previous expedition into the valley. Run all you want, Qiliang, but can you save the woman in your arms, ha ha ha? The 5 black-robed pursuers cackled cruelly as they unleashed waves of oppressive power. They seemed to take sadistic pleasure in toying with immortal Qiliang, as if he were nothing more than a cornered animal. Damn it! Qiliang gritted his teeth, refusing to look back as he continued his desperate flight. His gaze shifted to the unconscious woman in his arms, her breath faint and shallow. A pang of despair pierced his heart. For 3 months, he and his junior sister had been hunted across the immortal domain. Seeking refuge in the immortal insect valley had been their last, desperate gamble. But with no time to heal her injuries, her condition had deteriorated to this critical state. Still, as long as a sliver of hope remained, Qiliang refused to give up. If I can just survive this, I'll make them all pay. I'll kill every last one of them, Qiliang thought, his teeth grinding audibly as fury burned within him. Oh, it seems your run is over. A mocking voice snapped him back to reality. His heart sank as he realized he had unwittingly cornered himself against an immense cliff face. Trapped with no way forward, Qiliang tightened his grip on the woman and glared at the unyielding rock. He refused to turn around, though he could feel the murderous intent of his pursuers closing in. Today marks the end of the Xianxia immortal sect, one of the black-robed figures sneered. This is the price for opposing our immortal calamity sect. With their prey cornered, the black-robed cultivators exuded an air of triumph. Malice twisted their faces as they taunted Qiliang, savoring his despair. You filthy scum, Qiliang roared, his voice hoarse with fury. You'll pay for this. You'll die without a grave to rest in. Enough chatter, their leader said with a cruel smile. We'll see who dies without a grave. But first I'll cripple you, enslave the 2 of you, and parade you through the streets of Xianxia City. That should be quite entertaining, don't you think? His words drew laughter from the others. Their sadistic amusement only deepened Qiliang's rage. Unable to hold back any longer, Qiliang's energy surged as he unleashed his full power. A violent torrent of crimson energy erupted around him, transforming into a vast sea of blood-red maple leaves. The swirling vortex of leaves exuded sharp, deadly intent as it surged toward the black-robed figures. Futile struggle. The 5 pursuers responded with sneers, each summoning their own oppressive black energy. The air grew thick with a sinister mist, laced with traces of calamity energy. Boom! The clash between the crimson leaves and the black mist shook the valley, but the balance of power was clear. The black mist rapidly consumed Qiliang's technique, leaving him vulnerable. End this, the leader commanded, his voice thunderous. The mist condensed into a massive black hand, sweeping forward with unstoppable force. Qiliang's defenses crumbled under the onslaught, and he was sent flying backward, coughing blood as his strength faltered. Just as his pursuers prepared to deliver the final blow, a voice reverberated through the valley. Outnumbering 1 man, don't you feel any shame? Chapter 1458, Saving an Old Acquaintance, Reflecting on the Past, Part 1. Who's there, dare to meddle in the affairs of the immortal calamity sect? In an instant, the air grew heavy with a sharp and lethal aura, manifesting from seemingly nowhere. The leading black-robed cultivator, his expression fierce, shouted angrily into the void. The 4 other black-robed figures, who had just been preparing to ensnare immortal Qiliang with their calamity-forged chains, were struck by an inexplicable unease. They immediately retreated into the distance, transforming into black wind and regrouping. Immortal Qiliang, cradling his unconscious junior sister in his arms, froze in shock. He had been prepared to sacrifice his life and unleash his ultimate technique, but this sudden turn of events left him stunned. He glanced around the cliff base, his heart flickering with newfound hope. Yet, that hope was quickly tempered by a wave of anxiety. These 5 members of the immortal calamity sect were all true immortal-level powerhouses with terrifying strength and sinister methods. Even if help had arrived, unless it was from equally formidable allies, it might simply drag the rescuers into a dire situation alongside them. Still, Qiliang clung to this fragile glimmer of hope. Bearing the blood feud of the Xianxia immortal sect, he couldn't let this chance slip by. As long as there was the faintest chance of survival, he would seize it to exact his vengeance. Besides, he thought grimly, if the rescuers are overpowered, I'll stay behind to cover their escape. With a heavy heart, he resolved to see what fate had in store. A deep, resonant hum reverberated through the air. Before the stunned eyes of everyone present, two figures descended gracefully from the sheer cliff face, their presence serene yet commanding. The newcomers were none other than Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. "Who are you?" "This is immortal calamity sect business. Interfere and it'll be your funeral," barked the leading black-robed figure. His piercing gaze scrutinized the newcomers, immediately sensing that they were no ordinary individuals. Meanwhile, Chilling stared at the figures, his expression suddenly dazed. A wave of familiarity swept over him, though he couldn't immediately place it. "Immortal calamity sect. Never heard of it," Jiang Chengxuan said calmly, his voice steady and unimpressed. The five black-robed cultivators exchanged wary glances, their expressions darkening as their leader prepared to retort. However, before they could act, Shen Ruyan moved slightly, startling them. They instinctively prepared their defenses, summoning their powers in haste. To their surprise, Shen Ruyan completely ignored them. Instead, she turned and flew toward immortal Chiliang. Under the light that filtered into the valley, Chiliang's mind suddenly cleared, and recognition dawned on him. His eyes widened in disbelief. It's you, Zhang Daoist Shen Daoist," he exclaimed, his voice trembling with excitement. Joy surged through him, so overwhelming that his entire body shook. To find salvation at the brink of despair was a miracle in itself, but to meet old friends under such circumstances was a blessing beyond comprehension. His earlier concerns melted away. He remembered vividly how formidable Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan had been nearly 10,000 years ago. If they were so exceptional back then, what heights must they have reached now? "Immortal Chiliang," Shen Ruyan said gently as she landed nearby. "Give this pill to Feng Daoist immediately." She waved her sleeve, and a shimmering medicinal pill floated toward him, carried by her immortal power. Recognizing the urgency, Chiliang wasted no time. He accepted the pill and carefully administered it to his unconscious junior sister, channeling his own energy to help dissolve its effects. In moments, an extraordinary life force radiated from the young woman's body. Misty tendrils of vitality enveloped her, healing her injuries at an astonishing pace. Her pallor receded, and her complexion grew rosy. Even the insidious calamity energy that had invaded her meridians dissipated in trails of black smoke. Watching this miraculous recovery, Shen Ruyan nodded in satisfaction. She hadn't anticipated that their act of mercy would reunite them with an old acquaintance. Fate truly worked in mysterious ways. "How can this be?" the black-robed figures murmured amongst themselves, their gazes fixed on Feng Daoist. Her rapid recovery had left them stunned, and their eyes gleamed with greed. To possess such a miraculous pill was unthinkable. If these two strangers could casually produce such treasures, what other riches might they carry? Having long since grown accustomed to pillaging under the immortal calamity sect's banner, the five cultivators exchanged knowing looks. Their leader discreetly signaled the others, and in an instant, the group launched a coordinated sneak attack on Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. Turn calamity into weapon. The air erupted with violent turbulence as black winds surged, and calamity mist roiled, transforming into an overwhelming tidal wave of destruction aimed directly at the pair. Chapter 1459, Saving an Old Acquaintance, Reflecting on the Past Part 2. Black light shot forth like countless blades, slicing through space with terrifying precision. In the blink of an eye, the attacks were upon Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan, who appeared to be frozen in place, unfazed and unmoving. "Die!" The five black-robed cultivators sneered with twisted glee, their eyes brimming with malice. To them, calamity energy was a weapon as deadly as a plague to ordinary immortals. How many had fallen to their attacks in the past? In their minds, the scene of Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan being obliterated was already playing out. "Look out!" Immortal Chiliang shouted in alarm, his eyes bloodshot with desperation. Just as he prepared to assist, Shen Ruyan gently raised her hand, a soft but unyielding energy restraining him in place. With a calm expression, she extended a single slender finger, pointing toward two of the black-robed figures. Boom, boom! In an instant, two radiant bolts of lightning crashed down from the heavens with pinpoint accuracy, striking the targets head-on. Simultaneously, Jiang Chengxuan's sharp gaze flickered with a cold light. From his pupils, an endless stream of dazzling immortal radiance burst forth, piercing through the black mist and directly invading the minds of the remaining three attackers. "Aya!" Their pain cries echoed through the air as the black-robed cultivators froze in place, terror and regret etched deeply onto their faces. In the next moment, the oppressive black mist that surrounded them violently dispersed, and the five figures plummeted to the ground like lifeless crows, crashing with resounding thuds. Dust surged into the air, the remnants of lightning crackling amidst the chaos. Two of the assailants disintegrated into ashes, while the other three were annihilated, body and soul. The five true immortal-level cultivators of the immortal calamity sect, who had relentlessly hunted immortal Qiliang, were vanquished with ease. It was as if Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan had merely swatted away a few pesky insects. Immortal Qiliang stood frozen, disbelief clouding his mind. Words of caution died in his throat as he stared at the carnage, his heart gripped by a chilling realization. The very people who had driven him to the brink of despair were effortlessly crushed by Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. The overwhelming gap in power left him dumbfounded. He had speculated that they might have grown stronger over the millennia, but this level of dominance far exceeded his imagination. Could it be that both of them have already reached the level of Earth immortals, he thought, his heart filled with awe and amazement. Immortal Qiliang, are you all right? Jiang Chengxuan's calm voice pulled him back to reality. Immortal Qiliang looked up, his gaze meeting the serene but powerful presence of his old friend. I'm fine, many thanks to both of you. Immortal Qiliang quickly stood, bowing deeply in gratitude. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan exchanged a light-hearted chuckle. It's fate that we meet again. There's no need for such formalities, Jiang Chengxuan said with a warm smile. It's been nearly 10,000 years since we parted ways. To think that in such turbulent times we'd cross paths once more in the immortal Bug Valley, what a coincidence. Immortal Qiliang felt a surge of warmth, his previous unease fading away. He smiled in return, saying, Indeed, it's been so long, and once again I owe you my life. It's truly humbling. Jiang Chengxuan shook his head and gently asked what had transpired to bring Immortal Qiliang and his companion to this perilous valley. Immortal Qiliang recounted his tale. After parting ways with Jiang Chengxuan all those years ago, he had returned to the Fengtian immortal sect, where he focused on cultivation, eventually reaching new heights. However, during his retreat, the great calamity struck. Although the sect survived the initial waves under the protection of their ancestral patriarch, the prolonged conflict took a heavy toll. The patriarch, exhausted and gravely injured, could no longer shield the sect. Just as they thought they might recover in the post-calamity chaos, the immortal calamity sect emerged. Ruthless and ambitious, this newly risen power spread like a plague across the northern continent, devouring everything in its path. The Fengtian immortal sect, weakened from the calamity, became their next target. Despite a valiant resistance, the sect was ultimately overwhelmed. Its members were massacred and its treasures plundered. Immortal Qiliang and his junior sister, the last remnants of their lineage, fled with the sect's sacred inheritance. The immortal calamity sect, however, relentlessly pursued them. Cornered and desperate, they ventured into the immortal Bug Valley, hoping its infamous dangers might deter their enemies. By the end of his story, Immortal Qiliang's face was streaked with tears. Such is the way of the immortal path, heartless and cruel. Even a once glorious sect can crumble into ruin, he lamented bitterly. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan offered words of comfort, their expressions tinged with sympathy. At that moment, a faint voice broke the somber atmosphere. Brother Ling, where are we? The young woman in Immortal Qiliang's arms stirred awake, her voice soft but filled with confusion. Junior sister, look, we've been saved. Immortal Qiliang's voice trembled with relief and joy. He helped her sit up, and when she saw Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan, her eyes lit up with recognition. Miss Shen, Brother Jiang. Her face flushed with delight as she called out their names, her joy palpable. Shen Ruyan smiled warmly and approached her, the two exchanging pleasantries. The four spent several days resting and catching up in the immortal Bug Valley, reminiscing about old times and sharing their experiences since they last parted. At the valley's exit, Immortal Qiliang and his junior sister stood side by side, facing Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. Brother Jiang, Lady Shen, we must take our leave now. Your kindness will never be forgotten. Should I survive this tribulation, I will gladly offer my services to repay this debt. Though Jiang Chengxuan offered them the chance to retreat to the safety of the western continent, where they could rebuild and recover, Immortal Qiliang declined. Bound by duty and vengeance, he and his junior sister chose the path of retribution. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan understood their resolve. The immortal calamity sect's involvement in the northern continent was complex and perilous, entangled with powerful entities and Earth immortals. Direct intervention could lead to disastrous consequences. Having saved them from certain death, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan had already done more than enough. Chapter 1460, A Parting Gift, The Door in the Cliff, Part 1. Be careful on your journey. If ever you wish to visit, the Loose Cultivator Alliance will always welcome you. Standing calmly, Jiang Chengxuan spoke softly to the reluctant immortal Qiliang and his junior sister. The two, with tears welling in their eyes, paused momentarily before nodding earnestly. In moments of utter despair, when one's sect is destroyed, wandering as fugitives with their lives hanging by a thread, loneliness weighs heavily on the soul. At such times, the warmth and care extended by Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan were not just acts of kindness but a lifeline of hope, a luminous beacon in their hearts. Wait, Shen Ruyan called out gently just as immortal Qiliang and his junior sister turned to leave. These are parting gifts, our small way of supporting the Fengtian immortal sect. Please, do not refuse. Startled, the pair turned back to see a storage ring enveloped in immortal energy floating toward them. When the delicate ring landed in immortal Qiliang's palm, it felt unnaturally heavy, a weight not of its size but its significance. Upon extending his divine sense into the storage space, he was left breathless. The ring contained an abundance of cultivation resources, stacks of immortal stones, rare celestial materials, and bottles of potent elixirs. There were also numerous powerful artifacts, immortal talismans, and other treasures whose value he could not begin to estimate. The sheer wealth within the ring was staggering, enough to rebuild an entire immortal sect from the ground up. This is far too precious. I cannot accept this. Immortal Qiliang's voice wavered, his face pale with disbelief as he stammered toward Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. Think of it as support, Jiang Chengxuan interjected, his tone measured but firm. The immortal calamity sect is an unknown threat, and conflicts will surely arise. These resources are best used to prepare for and contain their ambitions. Before immortal Qiliang could protest further, his junior sister stepped forward, her expression resolute as she bowed deeply. Thank you, Brother Jiang, Sister Shen. The Fengtian immortal sect, so long as even one of us remains alive, will never forget your kindness. Be cautious in all things, Jiang Chengxuan advised. Above all, remember, survival is paramount. There is also a communication token in the storage ring. Should fate permit, we may meet again in the future. With a final wave of his hand, Jiang Chengxuan caused the space between them to ripple and shift. In an instant, the two figures of immortal Qiliang and his junior sister vanished into the distance, their forms now hidden from view. Standing at the edge of the immortal Bug Valley, immortal Qiliang gazed into the horizon, his voice solemn and steady. This debt of gratitude can never be repaid in full. After lingering in silence, he and his junior sister turned away and disappeared into the vast wilderness. Having bid farewell to the pair, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan reappeared near the towering cliff wall, where their exploration had initially been interrupted. The plight of the Fengtian immortal sect weighed on their minds, but the path of immortality followed its own immutable rules. They could not afford to act recklessly or disrupt the balance of the heavens. I hope they find the strength to achieve their goals, Shen Ruyan said softly, her voice carrying a trace of melancholy as her thoughts shifted back to their purpose for being here. Their primary objective in coming to the immortal Bug Valley was not to intervene in mortal affairs, but to search for a critical resource, the millennial five-element essence, a vital material for Jiang Chengxuan's ascension to the heavenly immortal realm. This essence was a rare substance condensed from the quintessence of five-element stones over millions of years, its last known appearance dating back countless eons. Jiang Chengxuan's discovery of the essence's location had been no small feat. Combining his expertise in ancient texts with the vast intelligence network of the Loose Cultivator Alliance, he had refined the methods for detecting this elusive treasure. Through meticulous planning and unprecedented coordination, they managed to trace its existence to the immortal Bug Valley. The cosmic upheaval of the Great Calamity had, in some ways, worked in Jiang Chengxuan's favor. Ordinary treasures were consumed by the calamity's destructive energy, while the millennial five-element essence, imbued with immense power and profound Tao laws, remained unscathed. This unique trait allowed Jiang Chengxuan's intelligence network to narrow their search significantly. Coupled with the relative stability of the Western continent, the loose cultivator alliance was able to pinpoint the essence's location with remarkable precision. Standing before the cliff, Jiang Chengxuan reached out, pressing his hand against the surface. "This cliff seems unusual. It wasn't here during our last visit to the valley," he murmured, his eyes narrowing in thought. While assisting Immortal chilling over the past few days, he and Shen Ruyan had not neglected their primary mission. Chapter 1461, A Parting Gift, The Door in the Cliff, Part 2. The immortal Bug Valley, once teeming with countless insect beasts, was now eerily silent. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan had explored much of the valley, uncovering several mysteries, and this towering cliff wall was one of the most intriguing. Insect beasts have all but disappeared from the valley. Something drastic must have occurred, Jiang Chengxuan observed, his brows furrowing in thought. Even the caves of powerful insect beasts show no signs of recent activity. It's unnervingly strange. Shen Ruyan nodded, her expression equally solemn. Over the past few days, the two had ventured deep underground, even returning to the site where they had previously found the five element stones. Yet there was no sign of activity. The few insect beasts they encountered were weak, their numbers scant. Even the lairs of dominant creatures, like the one that once belonged to the golden cicada immortal, were deserted, devoid of life. Jade, the golden cicada immortal, hovering beside Jiang Chengxuan, chirped anxiously. Having lived in the immortal Bug Valley for countless millennia, it had never seen such an occurrence. Whatever had happened was unprecedented, sudden, and significant enough to wipe out even powerful insect beasts, some of them at the true immortal and even earth immortal levels. What could cause the disappearance of such formidable creatures? Shen Ruyan wondered aloud. Jiang Chengxuan's eyes sharpened with determination. Whatever it is, we'll uncover the truth. Fear has no place in the pursuit of immortality. Shen Ruyan smiled faintly and stepped closer to her husband. "Let's proceed, my lord." The door revealed. Standing before the massive cliff, Jiang Chengxuan gathered his immense celestial power, channeling it into his palm. He placed his hand firmly against the cliff face, unleashing a surge of energy. Boom, boom, boom. The entire cliff trembled violently under the pressure, resonating like a heartbeat. The sky above darkened abruptly, and ghostly blue light began to radiate from the heavens, bathing the area in an ethereal glow. Particles of blue luminescence shimmered in the air, resembling a celestial snowfall, blanketing the valley in an otherworldly hue. As Jiang Chengxuan's power seeped into the cliff, the solid surface began to transform, turning translucent and crystalline, like a wall of sapphire glass. Intricate lines of light emerged, carving ancient patterns across the surface of the cliff. Gradually, the outline of a colossal tree took shape, its branches extending endlessly toward the heavens. Boom, boom. When the transformation was complete, the cliff face fully revealed its true form. It wasn't merely a wall but a magnificent gate. "Indeed, this is an entrance," Jiang Chengxuan murmured, his eyes gleaming with realization. The gate was a breathtaking sight, towering into the sky like a frozen masterpiece of blue crystal. Its carvings were so intricate and lifelike that even the most skilled artisans of the immortal world couldn't compare. "What kind of being could have left such a structure here?" Jiang Chengxuan muttered, his voice tinged with awe. He took a step forward, his aura surging. "Whatever it is, we'll find out. Open." With a thunderous shout, Jiang Chengxuan placed both hands on the colossal doors and pushed with all his might. The gate groaned and quaked, its immense weight resisting even his formidable strength. But Jiang Chengxuan's body, honed to perfection, rivaled the physical prowess of the mightiest beasts. No matter how heavy the gate, it was no match for his raw power. Whoosh! As the gate slowly creaked open, a fierce wind howled through the widening gap. The entire immortal Bug Valley trembled under the force, trees and mountains bowing as though in submission. Blue particles swirled through the air like enchanted snow, spreading across the valley and covering every surface in a shimmering layer. "It's clear now," Shen Ruyan remarked. "The valley's transformation must have been caused by this gate being opened before." Jiang Chengxuan nodded. Whoever had opened the gate before must have triggered the changes that left the valley in its current state. Boom! With a final deafening crash, the gate swung fully open, revealing a path of shimmering blue light stretching endlessly into the void. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan exchanged a glance, their resolve clear. With their celestial energy shielding them, they stepped boldly into the glowing pathway. Beyond the gate, as they entered, the blue light enveloped them completely. A powerful, mysterious force surged around them, propelling their bodies forward like a raging current. They made no effort to resist, allowing the force to carry them as they maintained their defenses. The world around them shifted and shimmered like a dreamscape, surreal and otherworldly. After what felt like 100 breaths, the light suddenly dimmed. The force pushing them forward ceased, and the two found themselves in a narrow cave. Jiang Chengxuan immediately extended his divine sense to survey their surroundings. The cave was unremarkable, devoid of the grandeur one might expect from such an entrance. More surprisingly, there were no signs of life, not a single insect beast, not even the faintest trace of their aura. Still no sign of the insect beasts, Jiang Chengxuan muttered, his voice laced with suspicion. However, this cave is enveloped by some sort of energy, Shen Ruyan noted. It's not a barrier, but it's definitely unusual. Jiang Chengxuan nodded. Let's go deeper, there's something further below. The two descended swiftly, their movements like streaks of light cutting through the cave's darkness. Finally, they reached the bottom, and the sight before them made their eyes narrow in unison. A murky, green swamp stretched out below, exuding a thick aura of decay and death. Floating within the swamp were countless bones and remains, their pale forms bobbing eerily on the surface. Upon closer inspection, the bones were grotesque and unnatural. Some were elongated, others bristled with spines, and a few were grotesquely bloated. None resembled human remains. "They're all insect beasts," Jiang Chengxuan declared grimly. The swamp was a mass grave, a chilling answer to the mystery of the valley's missing creatures. Chapter 1462, The Abyssal Devourer and the Truth Beyond the Gate, Part 1. Within the depths of the immortal Bug Valley, beyond the mysterious sky-reaching gate, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan found themselves in a narrow, desolate cavern. Here, the unsettling sight of innumerable insect beast remains piled high in a swamp greeted them. Even though the two had mentally prepared for the valley's ominous secrets, the sheer scale and grimness of this scene momentarily stunned them. In front of them lay heaps of bones, grotesquely shaped and ranging in size from small to unimaginably massive. Some skeletons, despite their decay, still shimmered faintly with an otherworldly glow in their marrow, hinting at their former glory as pinnacle beings of the demonic path. This swamp wasn't just a resting place for lowly creatures. It was the graveyard of formidable insect beasts, many of whom had likely reached the heights of true immortal cultivation or beyond. Jai. The golden cicada immortal perched on Jiang Chengxuan's shoulder shivered visibly, its chirps trembling with fear. It could sense the lingering aura of true, immortal-level insect beasts among the remains, and the sheer malevolence of this place filled it with dread. What could have happened here to leave such devastation? Shen Ruyan murmured, her voice heavy with unease as her gaze scanned the scene. Without answering, Jiang Chengxuan raised 2 fingers and directed a pulse of ethereal white light toward the swamp. The light danced in the air before plunging into the murky depths. The glow rippled outward, illuminating the swamp's hidden recesses and painting a vivid picture in Jiang Chengxuan's mind. It runs deeper than it appears on the surface. The number of remains buried below far exceeds what we see. No signs of life remain, Jiang Chengxuan stated solemnly, his eyes narrowing. Beneath the swamp, his divine sense had revealed a chaotic landscape stretching thousands of feet deep, densely packed with bones that filled every crevice. More unsettling was the strange absorption phenomenon. The swamp appeared to be drawing power from the remnants, siphoning their lingering energy and essence. Boom! Before they could investigate further, a deafening rumble erupted, shaking the entire cavern. The walls trembled violently, and cracks spread like lightning across the rocky surfaces. From every direction, a colossal force surged forward, oppressive and overwhelming. Its sheer magnitude matched the might of an earth immortal, engulfing the entire space with its malevolent presence. "Something's wrong. Head up," Jiang Chengxuan barked, immediately releasing his celestial energy to stabilize the crumbling surroundings. With no time to waste, the pair transformed into streaks of light, surging upward toward the upper reaches of the cavern. As they ascended, the environment grew increasingly hostile. Rocks collapsed, and massive stone walls materialized in their path, attempting to seal their escape. Jiang Chengxuan didn't falter, his body smashing through the obstacles like a blazing meteor, leaving shockwaves in his wake. "Look," Shen Ruyan exclaimed as a faint blue glow appeared ahead, growing brighter with every passing second. The source of the light came into view, a radiant fissure shimmering with ethereal luminescence, like a doorway to salvation. But just as hope emerged, a forest of bone spikes sprouted from the fissure's edges, radiating a cold, metallic luster and completely blocking their path. Primordial flame, ignite! Jiang Chengxuan roared, summoning a torrent of brilliant red flames that roared to life in his hands. The fiery torrent surged forward, crashing against the bone spikes and reducing them to ash. Primordial wind, rise! Shen Ruyan followed seamlessly, her hand weaving currents of dazzling wind. The wind merged with Jiang Chengxuan's fire, fanning its flames to greater heights and amplifying its destructive power. The combined onslaught tore through the bone spikes with devastating force, obliterating the barrier in mere moments. Roar! From the depths of the cavern, an enraged guttural roar echoed, shaking the air. Fragments of shattered bone, still aflame, rained down around Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan as they nimbly maneuvered through the chaos. With a final push, they broke through the fissure into a new realm. A world beyond. Emerging from the fissure, the pair felt as though they had passed through a thin veil, stepping into a breathtakingly surreal world. The first thing they saw was a colossal moon, its size dwarfing anything they had ever encountered. The moon seemed to rest just above the ground, its radiant glow saturating the environment in a serene, ghostly blue light. Its sheer scale was incomprehensible, dominating more than half of the visible horizon. This eerie moon cast an overwhelming stillness over the land, a chilling silence that sent shivers down their spines. Chapter 1463, The Abyssal Devourer and the Truth Beyond the Gate Part 2. Beneath the massive, luminescent moon that dominated this mysterious realm, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan stood steadfast. Their calm belied the intense confrontation they had just survived against the Abyssal Devourer, a towering insect beast of unimaginable size and power. Their adversary, a colossal insect resembling a serpent with countless legs, had withdrawn to observe them from a distance. Its glowing blue patterns pulsed with energy, mirroring the radiant moon above, creating an eerie sense of harmony between predator and environment. A grim revelation. As Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan steadied their breathing, their thoughts churned over the horrific realization they had just uncovered. The cavern they had previously traversed was no ordinary space. It had been the internal cavity of the Abyssal Devourer itself. The countless skeletons they had seen, some belonging to creatures of immense power, were remains of insect beasts devoured by this terrifying predator. It was no wonder the insect life in the immortal Bug Valley had dwindled so dramatically. The Abyssal Devourer had likely consumed much of its kind over countless years, absorbing their strength to ascend to its current peak. The moonlit battleground. Now the confrontation had spilled into this moonlit battlefield, an enigmatic realm where the Devourer's power was amplified by the moon's ethereal energy. Every move the beast made seemed synchronized with the moon's radiance, as if the two shared an unbreakable bond. Mutual understanding. That moon isn't ordinary, Shen Ruyan murmured, her gaze fixed on the luminous orb in the sky. It's as if it's a core, or even a part of this beast, Jiang Chengxuan replied, his tone heavy. This creature doesn't just exist in this space, it draws its power from the very fabric of this domain. Their brief exchange was interrupted by a sudden shift in the air. The Abyssal Devourer strikes again. Roar! The Abyssal Devourer roared, its body coiling and uncoiling with alarming speed. Its countless glowing legs shimmered with the same eerie blue light as the moon. In an instant, it summoned a storm of bladed wind, each gust sharp enough to rend space itself. Simultaneously, it launched its massive body toward them like a tidal wave, attempting to crush them under its sheer weight. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan counter. Too slow, Jiang Chengxuan muttered, his eyes narrowing. With a sharp motion, he unleashed his primordial water-fire sword, the blade erupting into a dazzling display of red and blue energy. Strike! The blade cleaved through the storm of wind, cutting apart each deadly gust with precision. Shen Ruyan followed up seamlessly, primordial thunderstorm formation activate. Around her, a vortex of multicolored lightning surged to life, forming a protective dome that not only shielded them, but also launched counterattacks against the approaching beast. A clash of titans. The two forces collided in a blinding explosion of light and sound. The Abyssal Devourer's wind blades and crushing body met Jiang Chengxuan's destructive flames and Shen Ruyan's relentless lightning. For a moment, the battlefield was a chaotic maelstrom of conflicting energies, the ground beneath them cracking and shattering under the immense pressure. The beast's cunning. But the abyssal devourer wasn't finished. With a sudden flicker, its massive body disintegrated into countless glowing fragments, leaving only a faint afterimage behind. Before Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan could react, the beast reformed directly above them, its enormous maw opening wide. A vortex of energy surged forth, attempting to pull them into its deadly embrace. A desperate counter. Not this time, Jiang Chengxuan growled, his voice steady despite the danger. Summoning the full force of his fated territory, he unleashed a massive burst of primordial flames, creating an impenetrable wall of fire around them. Shen Ruyan added her own power, her lightning-infused wind swirling through the flames to form a devastating storm barrier. The combined might of their powers pushed back the vortex, forcing the abyssal devourer to recoil with a hiss of pain. Roar, roar! As the devourer retreated, distant roars echoed across the battlefield. Chapter 1464, Secrets of the Immortal Bug Valley, Part 1. After several earth-shattering clashes, it became clear to all present, both Jiang Chengxuan, Shen Ruyan, and the abyssal devourer, that none of them were easily vanquished. Their opponents were far more formidable than anticipated. The abyssal devourer soon realized that Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan were not accidental intruders, but had deliberately forced their way through the gate of the immortal Bug Valley using sheer power. However, with the limited intelligence typical of the insect race, it could not fathom why these two humans had come. As the tension thickened and the duo fixed it with their steely gazes, the abyssal devourer spoke in a guttural voice, its command of human speech surprising them. "Damned human cultivators, what business do you have in my immortal Bug Valley? Are you trying to provoke a war between the insect race and humanity? A forgotten history?" The question left Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan momentarily startled. They hadn't expected this colossal insect to speak their tongue. What they didn't know, however, was the immortal Bug Valley's grim history, a past largely forgotten by the human cultivators of the northern continent. Long ago, driven by greed for the valley's resources, the northern continent sects amassed vast armies and invaded the immortal Bug Valley, slaughtering countless insect beasts and plundering its rare treasures. But their greed provoked a terrible response. The valley's Earth immortal-level insect overlords awoke, igniting a catastrophic war between the insect race and humanity. The valley's defensive wards were breached, and a flood of insect beasts, countless in number, spilled out, devastating the northern continent in a campaign of destruction. The resilience and prolific reproduction of the insects rivaled even that of abyssal demons. Cities burned, sects fell, and casualties mounted on both sides. The few Earth immortal-level insect overlords, empowered by the valley's unique energies, clashed repeatedly with the human Earth immortals, emerging unbeaten after every battle. This human-insect war lasted nearly 10,000 years, reshaping the continent's fate. In the end, the humans were forced into a stalemate, retreating and declaring the immortal Bug Valley forbidden. It became a place even the mightiest Earth immortals feared to tread, lest they provoke another calamity. Yet as centuries passed, the events of this war faded into obscurity. Few living beings, human or otherwise, remembered its horrors. Only the ancient insect immortals of the valley retained its memory. Jiang Chengxuan's retort. A war between humans and insects. Jiang Chengxuan sneered, cutting through the abyssal devourer's pretense. You dare speak of protecting your kind when your belly is filled with their bones. The abyssal devourer froze, caught off guard. After a moment of processing, it rumbled in a slow, guttural tone. Their lives served a purpose. To die for me to become my strength is the highest honor. Jiang Chengxuan's expression turned colder. So much for your righteous indignation. Another challenger appears. Before the conversation could continue, an overwhelming aura descended from the hazy light of the massive moon above. A second colossal presence emerged from the shadows, its form erupting into the battlefield like a rising mountain. This creature's power was no less terrifying than the abyssal devourer's. Its aura twisted space, suffocating the air with sheer pressure as it locked onto Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. The praying mantis immortal. The second arrival was a towering mantis-like beast. Its razor-sharp limbs gleamed with a violet sheen, marked by glowing blue runes similar to those on the abyssal devourer. Every step it took fractured the ground, its massive body radiating an oppressive gravitational force. Its serrated limbs glinted ominously as it hissed. Humans, this is our sacred domain. Your presence defiles it. You will die. The mantis beast wasted no time, swinging one of its blade-like limbs with terrifying speed. The air ripped apart, leaving behind a void-like fissure as the attack screamed toward Jiang Chengxuan. "Not so fast," Jiang Chengxuan roared. Summoning his fated territory, he manifested a massive spectral fist that shimmered with divine radiance. The fist surged forward to meet the mantis beast's blade. Boom! The two forces collided in an explosion of light and sound, shaking the world. The massive moon above flickered under the shockwaves, its pale glow momentarily dimmed. As the aftermath cleared, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan remained unscathed, their combined auras shielding them from harm. Before anyone could catch their breath, the oppressive aura in the air thickened once more. From the fractured void emerged a third figure, its presence even more grotesque and unsettling. This insect immortal had 3 faces, each adorned with countless compound eyes. Each eye reflected an illusory world, their surreal imagery shifting like living dreams. The creature's body radiated an otherworldly aura of chaos and mystery. It spoke in a chilling harmony of 3 overlapping voices. "You do not belong here, humans. This place is not yours to claim. Leave now or be consumed." Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan exchanged a glance. Their expressions remained calm, but the weight of the situation was clear. 3 Earth immortal-level insect overlords now stood before them. Each one exuded an aura of unyielding dominance. Chapter 1465, The Secret of the Immortal Insect Valley, Part 2. Its appearance resembled a grotesque amalgamation of countless types of insects, adorned with numerous unidentified limbs and countless pairs of translucent, nearly invisible wings. Among these features flowed faint blue patterns. At this moment, 3 late-stage Earth immortals of the insect clan had gathered, each one veiling a corner of the sky and earth. Their auras stirred winds and waves, firmly locking their oppressive energy onto Jiang Chengxuan and his companion. The cold, cunning glint in their eyes radiated a ghostly chill, freezing the void where Jiang Chengxuan stood, as if bathed in the cosmic glow. Even though he had stepped into the pinnacle realm, Jiang Chengxuan felt a heavy pressure in his heart. These 3 insect immortals had existed for countless millennia. If not for being unable to leave the immortal insect valley, each of them could have easily risen as a dominant power in the immortal realm. Even the combined might of all the celestial sects in the western continent would struggle to suppress them. Before them, Shen Ruyan, who had only just broken through to the Earth immortal stage and triumphed in several battles, instinctively held her breath. At this moment, she truly understood how terrifying the dangers beyond the Earth immortal level were. "It seems you insect demons are quite united." Jiang Chengxuan was momentarily taken aback by this, but he showed no fear or panic. Instead, he responded with calm sarcasm. This display caught the 3 insect immortals off guard. For the first time, a human cultivator in their presence showed no sign of fear. In the past, countless Earth immortals from the northern continent had trembled in fear before them, yet this person before them remained so composed. Although they lacked the analytical skills of the human race, their instincts told them Jiang Chengxuan was far from ordinary. The insect race of Immortal Insect Valley thrives under the light of the Moon Realm, yet is also imprisoned by it, unable to leave for eternity. "Human, I suppose you entered Immortal Insect Valley, seeking the 5-element immortal essence that has aged for millions of years." The final insect immortal, the last to appear, spoke slowly with an ancient tone. According to the Golden Cicada Demon Immortal, this entity was called the 3 Realms Insect Immortal, the oldest being in the valley. Its words revealed a sharp intelligence, rivaling that of humans, distinguishing it from the other 2 insect immortals. Hearing this, even Jiang Chengxuan was taken aback. His expression shifted slightly. He hadn't expected the insect immortal to deduce his purpose so quickly. "Oh, so this place truly does hold the 5-element immortal essence of millions of years." Jiang Chengxuan replied leisurely, showing no urgency as he engaged in a conversation with the enigmatic insect immortal. The latter, seemingly unused to conversing with intelligent beings due to the isolation of the valley, refrained from attacking Jiang Chengxuan and instead responded. "The 5-element immortal essence will emerge soon, within this moon realm. After that, the insect race will cease to exist." These simple words carried profound implications, causing Jiang Chengxuan to furrow his brows. The 3 realms insect immortals seemed to know the exact time of the 5-element immortal essence's emergence and implied the destruction of the insect race. Its tone suggested that this was no mere warning. Curiosity and doubt filled Jiang Chengxuan's mind. Why would this forbidden land, existing for millions of years, suddenly face destruction? He turned toward the Three Realms insect immortal and asked, "Could you elaborate?" Perhaps out of respect for the Three Realms insect immortal's authority, the other two insect immortals refrained from making a move, settling into an unusually calm state. Facing Jiang Chengxuan's inquiry, the Three Realms insect immortal, as if holding back for countless years, slowly revealed the ancient secrets. The so-called immortal insect valley is merely a name given by your human race. The true name of this place is the ancient moon fragmented realm. Millions of years ago, before I had even begun cultivation, a great Xuan immortal split their Xuan realm into fragments. One of those fragments is this place. The shocking revelation left Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan stunned, drawing sharp breaths. This place was connected to Xuan immortal. To know that such beings, legends even within the immortal realms, could create their own Xuan realm, a domain entirely independent yet equivalent to an immortal domain, was awe-inspiring. The sheer power required to enable the beings within such a realm to cultivate and ascend to immortality was unimaginable. In today's immortal domains, even traces of heavenly immortals were scant, their existence recorded only in fragments of history. The mention of a Xuan immortal seemed like a mythical name, yet here the Three Realms insect immortal declared its certainty. This revelation was impossible to dismiss as a mere fabrication. As the oldest being in the valley, its knowledge was unlikely to be erroneous. The mention of a Xuan immortal seemed to chill the air around them. Ignoring their shock, the Three Realms insect immortal continued speaking, unperturbed. Though the ancient moon fragmented realm is merely one piece of a shattered whole, it still possesses the power of an independent immortal domain. Here, the rules of the heavens and earth operate uniquely, and the ancient moon's energy is inexhaustible. Our ancestors among the insect race were the first to discover this place and harness the energy of the ancient moon realm to break through countless limitations and thrive. Thus, the immortal insect valley came to be. These brief words unraveled the valley's epic history. No one knew how the insect race's ancestors had transformed this place into what it was, enabling the once weak insect demons to reign supreme within the immortal insect valley and turn it into a forbidden land feared across the northern continent. Even though they were an alien race, Jiang Chengxuan couldn't help but feel some admiration. The ancient moon fragmented realm was undoubtedly powerful, but without cultivation and management, it could not have reached its current state. Yet, didn't you kill all your kin? Jiang Chengxuan's gaze sharpened as he addressed the Three Realms insect immortal. His words, brimming with an air of menace, reignited tension in the atmosphere. The abyssal demon immortal and the other insect immortal roared in fury, their aura causing the heavens to tremble. Yet the Three Realms insect immortal remained eerily calm, replying slowly. The ancient moon fragmented realm is both an opportunity and a curse. How could you humans understand? This realm, while blessed by the ancient moon's energy, is also tainted with forbidden power. Those who cultivate immortality here are forever bound, unable to leave even a step beyond this fragment. We have been prisoners for millions of years. Do you know what that feels like? Even the Three Realms insect immortal, speaking of their millennia-long captivity, could not hide the bitterness and sorrow in its voice. For an earth immortal, unable to roam freely and instead confined to a fragment of land, the irony was poignant. For the long-lived demon race, this was a form of torment. Jiang Chengxuan could understand this sentiment, but it didn't explain why they had annihilated their own kind. The Three Realms insect immortal soon answered his question. Now, the calamity of 1,000,000 years descends once again. After enduring countless such disasters, the ancient moon fragmented realm has reached its weakest point. This is our only chance. For this, even if it means sacrificing them to help our race escape the curse of 1,000,000 years, we will pay any price. It turned out that all the insect demons who cultivated in the valley shared the power of the ancient moon. This meant that through mutual devouring, they could achieve the greatest power boost. The three insect immortals had devoured and refined most of the insect demons in the immortal insect valley to achieve their current formidable strength, preparing to break through the restrictions of the ancient moon fragmented realm and gain their freedom. Chapter 1466, The Battle Against the Insect Immortals, All Powers Unleashed Part 1. to sacrifice the prosperity of an entire race spanning millions of years for the sake of freedom. This was both a resolute and a ruthless, even mad decision. Even though Jiang Chengxuan now understood the reasoning behind this, he couldn't accept such an act. This was the fundamental difference between humans and demons. You sacrificed your entire race just to break the seal. Don't you think such an act goes against the natural order? Isn't it too cold-hearted? As Jiang Chengxuan's words fell, the three realms insect immortal and the other two insect immortals were momentarily silent, as though reminiscing. Jiang Chengxuan, however, didn't care for their sentiments and bluntly voiced his thoughts. His voice was like a sharp blade that pierced the pride of the three insect immortals. Their grotesque faces twisted with fury, expressing anger in a disturbingly human-like manner. You don't understand what it feels like to be trapped in one place for millions of years. If you were in our place, you would make the same choice. The three realms insect immortal replied coldly, unwavering in its conviction. Jiang Chengxuan didn't argue further. He understood the futility of continuing the debate. This was an unsolvable dilemma, and even among humans, there were those who might make the same choice. Whether one could hold on to their principles would only be known if they faced such circumstances themselves. But none of this mattered. Neither party truly sought the other's understanding. The three realms insect immortal had spoken its truths only because it felt like speaking, not because it cared about Jiang Chengxuan's reaction. So, you know where the five-element immortal essence of millions of years is, don't you? Jiang Chengxuan shifted the topic, focusing his gaze on the towering, grotesque figure of the three realms insect immortal. The extermination of the insect race was regrettable, but it had nothing to do with him. His only concern was the five-element immortal essence that could help him break through to the heavenly immortal realm. The five-element immortal essence, aged for millions of years, is one of the treasures left behind by that Xuan immortal. It has always been within this ancient moon-fragmented realm. However, no one has the power to extract it. If I told you that it can only be obtained when the ancient moon-fragmented realm seal is broken, what would you do, human cultivator? The three realms insect immortal, finally able to speak after eons of isolation, answered without reserve, knowing this wasn't the crux of the matter. Indeed, as it said, the five-element immortal essence was sealed by the power of a Xuan immortal. Who could retrieve it? If it were possible, the three realms insect immortal would have long since obtained it, ascended to the peak, and broken free from this fragmented realm. It wouldn't have waited until now, sacrificing its entire race in the process. The answer left Jiang Chengxuan in deep thought, his expression heavy. If the five-element immortal essence of millions of years could only appear after breaking the ancient moon-fragmented realm seal, then he couldn't stop them from breaking it. In fact, he might even have to help them. However, a new problem arose. There was no trust between them. How could he know the three insect immortals wouldn't turn on him and fight for the five-element immortal essence once the seal was broken? After all, such a heavenly treasure, coveted even by a Xuan immortal, would surely be irresistible to beings like them. And everything he knew was based on the three realms insect immortal's words. No one knew what might happen once the seal was broken. Do you really expect me to stand idly by and watch you break the seal? After a long silence, Jiang Chengxuan spread his hands and addressed the towering figures of the three insect immortals. Hearing this, the three insect immortals remained silent, clearly harboring their own suspicions. Even if their interests didn't conflict, cooperation was impossible. You're right, without a fight no one will yield. Breaking the silence, the three realms insect immortal spoke solemnly, its tone heavy with resolve. In an instant, the atmosphere which had been immersed in storytelling moments ago turned tense and murderous. In the void, energies clashed, killing intent erupted, and thunder rumbled across the skies. In the blink of an eye, both sides prepared for battle. The insect immortals and Jiang Chengxuan, along with Shen Ruyan, adjusted their auras to their peaks, ready to strike. They knew their opponents were far from ordinary. On one side was Jiang Chengxuan, who had opened the mystical portal alone, entered the core of the ancient moon-fragmented realm, and even repelled the abyssal insect immortal. On the other side were three ancient beings who had cultivated for millions of years, wielding the power of the ancient moon-fragmented realm, and having devoured countless kin to exponentially increase their strength. This battle was destined to be cataclysmic, shaking the entire Xuan realm, yet neither side had a choice. Then let us fight. The next moment Jiang Chengxuan roared, his voice breaking the oppressive silence. He unleashed his domain, launching an attack toward the heavens. Behind him, his ethereal and mysterious domain fully manifested, unrestrained. The terrifying aura it exuded was so immense that even the ancient moon-fragmented realm seemed unable to contain it. An infinite surge of primordial energy erupted from his domain, interwoven with the embryonic power of a heavenly immortal's cave heaven. It swept across the entire Xuan realm, shaking the space and even causing ripples on the gigantic moon. Peak of the Earth immortal realm. The three insect immortals roared in shock, their grotesque faces twisting further in disbelief. Though they had sensed Jiang Chengxuan's extraordinary nature, they had not anticipated that his cultivation level was so formidable. Instantly, the immense figures of the three insect immortals trembled under the impact of Jiang Chengxuan's power. Chapter 1467, The Battle Against the Insect Immortals, All Powers Unleashed Part 2. Despite their ancient origins, the insect immortals reacted with astonishing speed. Their grotesque bodies twisted, shattering the surrounding space as they steadied themselves. The insect immortal, resembling a colossal purple giant, was the first to strike. With a sweep of its massive hand, an eerie power of laws erupted from its body, forming a domain around itself. The overwhelming gravity transformed the time and space in its vicinity into an oppressive, viscous force. Even Jiang Chengxuan's incoming attack was frozen and slowed within its domain. Simultaneously, the Three Realms Insect Immortal and the Abyssal Insect Immortal also launched their assaults. The Three Realms Insect Immortal's three grotesque faces, twisted as countless compound eyes, radiated a dazzling light, manifesting scenes of bizarre illusions. An immensely corrupt and chaotic energy burst from its monstrous form, colliding with Jiang Chengxuan's power. At the moment of impact, the skies above plunged into turmoil. Holiness and malevolence fused and divided within the chaotic currents, creating an unobservable and murky domain. The Abyssal Insect Immortal, on the other hand, opened gaping fissures across its body. These cracks tore apart the surrounding space, transforming its presence into a bottomless abyss of deep blue. It absorbed all incoming energy, relentlessly expanding until the abyss reached its limit. Then, in a sudden contraction, it unleashed all the accumulated energy in a violent torrent aimed directly at Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. The three ancient earth immortal insect beings displayed their mastery of supernatural powers, their monstrous forms wreaking havoc on the heavens and earth with every movement. Reversal of samsara. Faced with the onslaught from the blue abyss, Jiang Chengxuan extended a hand, channeling the power of samsara laws to its zenith. As the incoming energy storm descended, it was twisted and reversed by the force of his laws, subjugating the surrounding natural order. The massive torrent of energy was drawn into the reversed flow of samsara. It twisted and reflected, unable to touch Jiang Chengxuan, until it dissipated into nothingness, its power nullified. Having dispersed the chaotic surge with a single motion, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan faced the insect immortals, whose forms had undergone terrifying transformations. The purple giant insect immortal was now cloaked in black radiance, its colossal body slightly reduced, standing in the void like an obsidian statue. Yet, the aura emanating from it was even more oppressive, causing the space around it to crack and shatter audibly. The abyssal insect immortal had morphed even more dramatically. Its once mountainous body had turned ethereal, resembling a glowing blue moonlight. Its internal organs, bones, and blood had become translucent, crystalline structures, faintly visible within its outline as countless insect wings fluttered in the void. The Three Realms Insect Immortal, meanwhile, was shrouded in a dense, filthy mist. Only its hideous three faces were visible, occasionally revealing patches of raw flesh and sinew through the miasma, exuding an ominous and inscrutable aura. The three insect immortals, recognizing Jiang Chengxuan's formidable power, acknowledged him by adopting their full combat forms. Each of them, even in their stillness, radiated a terror that would shake the very core of lesser cultivators. A single glance at their monstrous visages would leave those with weak hearts plagued by nightmares. Fortunately, both Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan were of firm resolve. Having faced the horrors of war against demonkind, they were accustomed to the grotesque and vile. Facing the three monstrous figures, neither flinched nor showed fear. "Dear, I will support you from here," Shen Ruyan's voice rang out as she activated her domain. A vast sea of lightning emerged behind her, illuminating the void. Within her domain, towering peaks and surging rivers formed entirely of lightning energy shimmered brilliantly. fierce primordial winds roared, summoning storms of annihilation. Though Shen Ruyan's power wasn't enough to confront these late-stage Earth immortal insect beings directly, the destructive nature of her divine lightning was enough to pose a significant threat. After all, lightning was one of the universe's most destructive elements, feared even in the immortal realms. Tribulation lightning remained an eternal source of dread. In an instant, myriad forms of lightning, divine life and death lightning, primordial lightning, five elements lightning, responded to Shen Ruyan's call. These forces encircled Jiang Chengxuan protectively, augmenting his power. Jiang Chengxuan nodded approvingly and gestured for Shen Ruyan to retreat into his domain to avoid unnecessary risks. "Come, let me see what you're capable of," Jiang Chengxuan declared, standing tall amidst the roaring thunder. Clad in nine-colored lightning, he summoned the primordial sword of water and fire, holding it behind him as he pointed toward the sky, challenging the three colossal figures. A powerful aura of confidence and dominance radiated from him, shaking the heavens. The three insect immortals felt an even deeper sense of unease at his display of power. Yet, as beings who had cultivated for millions of years, they wouldn't be easily intimidated. In the next moment, the three insect immortals moved in unison. The three realms insect immortal led the charge, its countless compound eyes flashing with mystical light. Beams of fantastical energy shot forth, enveloping Jiang Chengxuan in a chaotic space. Within this altered reality, Jiang Chengxuan found himself in a world of distorted perceptions. Both he and the insect immortals appeared as shadowy echoes, each movement fracturing into countless mirages. Even with his immense willpower, Jiang Chengxuan felt his senses waver slightly. This was clearly a manifestation of the three realms insect immortals' divine powers. "Fall into the chaos of the three realms, human." The insect immortal's voice resonated, shaking the distorted space. Every object fractured into countless illusory copies, shimmering like reflections on water, each wave threatening to erode the soul. "Roar, die, human." Taking advantage of the disorientation, the other insect immortals roared and attacked. Ripples of black energy surged through the chaotic domain like tidal waves, annihilating everything in their path. Jiang Chengxuan found himself besieged by the overwhelming supernatural powers of the three insect immortals. The sheer ferocity of their combined assault was unparalleled, forcing him into a dire situation. However, Jiang Chengxuan remained resolute. He was not one to falter, even under such perilous circumstances. Primordial domain of water and fire. With a swing of the primordial sword of water and fire, he unleashed a torrent of water and fire energy so vast it seemed to split the sky itself. This surge of primordial power surged upward, tearing through the layers of distortion and chaos above. Boom, boom. The clash between Jiang Chengxuan's power and the forces of the three insect immortals unleashed a series of deafening explosions that shook the heavens. Dark rifts formed in the void, interwoven with violent bursts of water and fire, slicing through the chaotic domain. Even amidst the disarray of the three realms insect immortals' illusions, Jiang Chengxuan maintained absolute precision, countering each attack with confidence. His unyielding spirit was a testament to his unparalleled resolve. This strike was a gamble. A miscalculation would have dire consequences, potentially leading to his death. Yet Jiang Chengxuan moved forward unflinchingly, choosing to trust in himself and his abilities, undeterred by the overwhelming odds. Chapter 1468. Suppressing the Three Immortals, Shaking the Ancient Moon, Part 1. This chaotic realm of the three realms is woven from fragments of countless worlds. Even time and space are disordered here. Human, I refuse to believe your luck will hold out. Amidst the chaotic domain, Jiang Chengxuan forced back the purple demon insect immortals' attack. This scene left the three insect immortals visibly shaken. The three realms insect immortal, in particular, was enraged. Its proudest supernatural ability, which had never failed, was treated by Jiang Chengxuan as though it were nothing. This provoked its competitive spirit. With a furious roar, its voice reverberated like a demonic chant, shaking the void. The distorted world surrounding Jiang Chengxuan became even more chaotic and twisted, like a tangle of overlapping lines enclosing him. Under such conditions, even time and space became inaccurate, sealing away and distorting his senses. This was a terrifying power, and even Jiang Chengxuan's expression grew serious as he prepared himself for the next wave. Within this chaotic domain, he could trust nothing but his own battle instincts. Here it comes. Suddenly, hidden behind waves of demonic sound, an attack silently approached Jiang Chengxuan. This power, immense and overwhelming, felt as though it had always been there, an inevitable force Jiang Chengxuan had stumbled upon rather than evaded. The chaotic interference rendered all detection and predictions useless. Only Jiang Chengxuan's enhanced instincts, sharpened after his half-step ascension to the heavenly immortal realm, allowed him to sense the attack in time. Reversal of life and death. A deafening roar erupted as a deep blue abyss-like force appeared beside Jiang Chengxuan. It resembled a monstrous mouth, opening wide to swallow him whole. At the critical moment, Jiang Chengxuan unleashed a burst of radiant energy. His domain shifted, its original hues giving way to stark black and white, embodying the laws of life and death. In an instant, the black and white forces of samsara coiled around the abyssal energy like a binding chain, neutralizing it. The terrifying abyssal power began to dissipate, its energy blending with the black and white of samsara before being redirected back toward its source. The redirected attack streaked past Jiang Chengxuan, narrowly missing him, and roared back toward the abyssal insect immortal. Damn it, this treacherous human! The abyssal insect immortal cursed in rage, its semi-corporeal body twisting to avoid the returning force. Its power, capable of devouring all, including Jiang Chengxuan's strength, was neutralized and turned against it, leaving the insect immortal both furious and unsettled. Insolent human, how dare you! The purple demon insect immortal, now fully enraged, let out a thunderous roar. Its massive black figure shattered the void as it charged directly at Jiang Chengxuan. This species was known for its unparalleled physical power, with its supernatural abilities rooted in raw strength pushed to its pinnacle. Every inch of its colossal body contained the weight of a star, and as it moved, space itself fractured beneath its steps. Black holes emerged in its wake, amplifying its already terrifying presence. The sudden entrance of the purple demon insect immortal was like a bomb detonating within the chaotic world, its sheer might unleashing a wave of destructive energy toward Jiang Chengxuan. Faced with this immense pressure, Jiang Chengxuan felt his pulse quicken. This was the first time, after stepping beyond the limits of the Earth immortal realm, that he had encountered such powerful foes. Having previously triumphed over the avatar of the sinister tree and claimed the heavenly immortal cave heaven's embryonic form, he had believed battles of this scale would be rare. Yet here he stood, embroiled in a conflict of unprecedented magnitude. Tribulation weapon, come forth. With the storm of chaos enveloping him, Jiang Chengxuan's fighting spirit surged. He let out a fierce roar, revealing his ultimate trump card. From within the celestial domain of his internal sanctuary, a burst of mysterious black light erupted, tearing through layers of void. Moments later, an ancient and majestic aura, teeming with both the forces of life and destruction, spread outward, suffusing the entire battlefield. Even the ancient moon's power seemed to shrink back in deference to this presence. What kind of power is this? For a moment, all three insect immortals were stunned, their grotesque faces filled with astonishment. They turned their attention toward Jiang Chengxuan, who now stood holding a blade shrouded in a suffocating black light. Curious? Come find out. Jiang Chengxuan sneered, gripping the tribulation weapon tightly. Without hesitation, he slashed toward the oncoming purple demon insect immortal. In an instant, the overwhelming power of the tribulation weapon engulfed the heavens, plunging the world into darkness. The purple demon insect immortal felt an all-consuming force of destruction surging toward it. With a deafening roar, it unleashed all its strength, its massive black hands tearing through space to clash with the black light. High above, it was as if several colossal mountains had suddenly fallen from the sky, crashing into the black radiance unleashed by Jiang Chengxuan's blade. The collision erupted in a cataclysmic explosion that shook the heavens and the earth. Boom, boom. Chapter 1469, Suppressing the Three Immortals, Shaking the Ancient Moon, Part 2. The aftermath of the tremendous clash rippled outward, briefly dispelling the chaotic domain. Jiang Chengxuan's sharp eyes seized the opportunity. Drawing upon his full mastery of his internal sanctuary's power, he unleashed his domain into the void, manifesting it into a hazy realm. In an instant, his gaze locked onto the three realms insect immortal. The next moment, the power of the embryonic heavenly immortal cave heaven erupted, transforming into a pale torrent that tore through the distorted time and space, surging toward the insect immortal. This force, comparable to the might of his tribulation weapon, carried an overwhelming essence. Even through the filth of its corrupted powers, the Three Realms insect immortal felt an instinctual unease. However, Jiang Chengxuan's precision left no room for escape. The insect immortal could only channel its corruptive energy to its peak, meeting the attack head-on. Boom! A devastating explosion reverberated, shaking the entire ancient moon-fragmented realm. The immense destruction triggered a response from the gigantic moon above. As Jiang Chengxuan's primordial energy clashed with the Three Realms insect immortal's corrupted power, the moonlight grew intense, adding a boundless force to the battlefield. At that moment, the powers of the tribulation weapon, the embryonic heavenly immortal cave heaven, the corruptive energy of the Three Realms insect immortal, and the chaotic distortions of the purple demon insect immortal all collided. The resulting spectacle was unimaginably catastrophic. Even the abyssal insect immortal, daring as it was, refrained from intervening, retreating into the void to avoid the storm. It had fought Jiang Chengxuan in the past and recognized his extraordinary nature, but his terrifying power now exceeded all expectations. Not only could he counter the chaotic Three Realms power, but he could also simultaneously battle the purple demon insect immortal and launch a counterattack against the Three Realms insect immortal. Crag, crag, crag. Finally, with a series of earth-shattering detonations, the chaotic Three Realms domain shattered entirely. The twisted and distorted space dissolved into nothingness, restoring the world to its natural state. Time, space, and destiny returned to their proper flow. Seizing this moment of clarity, Jiang Chengxuan's battle fervor surged even higher. Without retreating a single step, he pressed his assault against the Three Realms insect immortal. With the primordial water-fire sword and the tribulation weapon in hand, Jiang Chengxuan unleashed the full power of his perfected earth immortal realm. The protective energy of his divine artifacts radiated outward, bolstering his unyielding advance as he charged into the filthy aura surrounding the Three Realms insect immortal. Channeling the power of both divine artifacts simultaneously, Jiang Chengxuan created three towering barriers of energy. The barriers expanded rapidly, tearing through the layers of corruption and aiming directly for the insect immortal's core. Damn you, human! For the first time, the Three Realms insect immortal abandoned its composed demeanor. Its three hideous faces twisted in fury as it spewed forth even greater amounts of corruptive energy in a desperate attempt to suppress Jiang Chengxuan. This vile energy, capable of polluting even the purest primordial essence, would typically overpower any other force. But against the combined might of Jiang Chengxuan's primordial water-fire power, the tribulation force, and the embryonic heavenly immortal cave heaven, it faltered. Wave after wave of corruption was severed by Jiang Chengxuan's relentless strikes. Each step he took brought him closer to the insect immortal, trampling destruction beneath his feet. Though his figure appeared small against the massive form of the Three Realms insect immortal, his presence loomed as a monumental challenge to the heavens. Cleansing world power. Cornered, the Three Realms insect immortal roared, unleashing a new power. Its numerous wings unfurled as its three monstrous faces froze into lifeless, stony masks. In an instant, a divine energy, opposite to its usual corruption, emerged from within. Its grotesque form radiated a sacred brilliance, shedding its corrupted exterior. Its body transformed into a golden crystalline form, shining with immaculate light. The corruption receded, leaving its body protected by a flawless aura of cleansing world power. Even Jiang Chengxuan's devastating strikes slowed as they entered this sanctified domain, their destructive force subdued as though tamed by an unseen hand. In this form, the Three Realms insect immortal could no longer attack, but its cleansing world power rendered it nearly invincible. Its defenses were impenetrable, even against Jiang Chengxuan's dual divine weapons and half-step heavenly immortal power. Afraid now? The Three Realms insect immortal's lifeless face remained unmoved, but its aura radiated a silent mockery. Jiang Chengxuan, however, remained calm. He smirked, standing before the golden colossus with his sword and tribulation weapon at the ready. Scared hardly. With a cold laugh, he suddenly shifted his focus. Transforming into a streak of profound light, he surged toward the purple demon insect immortal instead. His tribulation power and primordial water-fire energy surged into a torrential wave as he slashed toward his new target. Caught off guard, the purple demon insect immortal had been watching the battle with the Three Realms insect immortal and hadn't expected Jiang Chengxuan to turn his assault so suddenly. Though it reacted quickly, its massive black body, like a mountain forged of meteorite, shuddered as it launched a desperate counterattack. Its immense fists pounded the air, unleashing black holes in their wake to intercept Jiang Chengxuan's assault. Boom, boom, boom. The space between them shattered under the force of their clash, sending shockwaves rippling through the battlefield. The enormous moon trembled as if it too were boiling under the strain of their collision. The purple demon insect immortal, having already felt the might of Jiang Chengxuan's tribulation weapon earlier, was wary of letting him close. Its cautious defense intensified, as it recalled the near loss of an arm in their previous encounter. But Jiang Chengxuan, wielding both divine artifacts, charged forward undeterred. His domain surged with the radiant light of the five elements, creating a path that nullified the broken space around him. As the purple demon insect immortal braced itself, Jiang Chengxuan unleashed another devastating strike. His tribulation force formed a colossal abyss of black energy, descending upon the insect immortal with a crushing gravitational pull. "Roar, you won't take me down." Roaring in defiance, the purple demon insect immortal unleashed a barrage of punches, each blow creating a black hole that collided with the incoming abyss. The two forces clashed in a chaotic symphony of destruction, shaking the realm to its core. The overwhelming impact made the entire battlefield quake, as though the ancient moon-fragmented realm itself was on the verge of collapse. Even the colossal moon above rippled with unnatural waves, its luminous surface boiling with turbulence. Chapter 1470, Intimidating the Three Immortals, No One Dares Move Part 1. The Three Realms insect immortal, forced into using its cleansing world power to seal itself defensively, could no longer take action. This created the perfect opportunity for Jiang Chengxuan to shift from defense to offense. Without hesitation, Jiang Chengxuan unleashed the combined might of his tribulation weapon, primordial water-fire sword, and the embryonic power of the heavenly immortal cave heaven, directing a devastating assault toward the purple demon insect immortal. Despite the purple demon insect immortal's desperate efforts to unleash its full power, shaking the entire ancient moon-fragmented realm, it was alone, lacking the support of its allies. Against Jiang Chengxuan's overwhelming force, it stood little chance. Under the moon's shimmering brilliance, the battlefield was starkly divided. The heavens glowed radiantly, while the region surrounding Jiang Chengxuan and the purple demon insect immortal was a dark abyss, its deep shadows cutting through the light. Countless black holes formed under the purple demon insect immortal's massive fists, tearing through the void with relentless force. The space around them was shattered and fragmented, leaving no intact area, yet Jiang Chengxuan moved with unyielding grace, like a dragon defying the tides. A dance among black holes. Within the myriad black holes, Jiang Chengxuan's sanctuary shielded him from the devastating rips in space. Though such power could obliterate entire continents, his inner domain, fortified by the embryonic heavenly immortal cave heaven, remained intact. His movements were like a streak of aurora, cutting through the chaos with breathtaking speed. Be severed. In an instant, Jiang Chengxuan evaded the purple demon insect immortal's final defense, closing in on its colossal neck. His tribulation weapon cleaved downward with unstoppable momentum. The contrast between their sizes was stark. Jiang Chengxuan, a mere speck, against a mountain-sized behemoth. Yet the insect immortal's terror was palpable. At the moment Jiang Chengxuan swung his blade, a chilling fear gripped it, its blood running cold despite its thick armor of black mystical plating. Instinctively, it unleashed all its limbs to intercept the strike, channeling every ounce of its power into defense. Thrum! The clash of forces reverberated like a celestial bell, its resonance spreading across the ancient moon-fragmented realm, shaking the very fabric of reality. Ripples akin to an earthquake rippled outward as the tribulation weapon's black radiance surged skyward, colliding violently with the insect immortal's star-shattering power. Beneath Jiang Chengxuan's cold, determined gaze, the tribulation weapon sliced through, inch by inch, penetrating the layers of spatial collapse and temporal distortions. These defenses, a manifestation of the purple demon insect immortal's most refined powers, were no match for the tribulation force, an ancient energy capable of consuming the very fabric of existence. A desperate struggle. Roar Aya. The purple demon insect immortal's struggles were in vain. Its limbs, meant to block the blade, were steadily severed, one by one. The weapon's black aura invaded its body, causing it to writhe in pain as its immense frame twisted and contorted within the void, unleashing shockwaves that disturbed the heavens and earth. For the first time in millennia, the insect immortal felt true fear. Since perfecting its body to the pinnacle of power, it had never suffered such injuries. Now, its mighty arms, which could rip apart the skies, were pinned helplessly under Jiang Chengxuan's weapon, their energy drained into nothingness. The creeping despair of helplessness settled in, chilling its core. With no other option, the insect immortal abandoned its pride, unleashing a guttural cry for help. Abyssal, help me. The abyssal insect immortal hesitates. From the distance, the abyssal insect immortal witnessed the grim spectacle, cold sweat dripping from its translucent, flickering form. Jiang Chengxuan's power had surpassed all expectations. Even the strongest among them, the Three Realms insect immortal, had been forced into a defensive stasis. Was it wise to intervene now? Damn it, damn it. The abyssal insect immortal was caught in a dilemma. If it didn't act, the purple demon insect immortal would fall, leaving them even more vulnerable to Jiang Chengxuan. But stepping in risked facing the same overwhelming power. Its flickering form twisted erratically as it deliberated. Finally, gritting its mandibles, it decided to intervene. There was no retreat in the ancient moon-fragmented realm, only a fight to the end. Abyssal shadow devours the heavens. The abyssal insect immortal sprang into action. With a flash, it traversed the chaotic void, manifesting a massive, deep blue shadowy abyss that engulfed Jiang Chengxuan's position. This abyss, an extension of the insect immortal's body, possessed a voracious devouring force that could annihilate anything. The shadow descended like an unstoppable tide, threatening to consume both Jiang Chengxuan and his sanctuary whole. Chapter 1471. Intimidating the Three Immortals, No One Dares Move Part 2. As the shadow of the abyssal insect immortal descended, Jiang Chengxuan was forced to pause. With a cold snort, he withdrew the tribulation weapon that had deeply pierced the body of the purple demon insect immortal and swung it backward with decisive precision. Boom! The blade emitted a darkness so profound it seemed to cleave the heavens, severing the abyssal insect immortal's power in one clean stroke. The force halted the shadowy abyss mid-descent, forcing the insect immortal's form to stutter. It felt its core tremble violently, as if its very essence were shaken. Thanks to its half-real, half-illusory state, the abyssal insect immortal narrowly avoided disaster, leaving behind only a fading afterimage. It now truly understood the terrifying power of Jiang Chengxuan's tribulation weapon. Only by directly facing it could one grasp the overwhelming might it wielded. Roar! Taking advantage of the brief reprieve granted by the abyssal insect immortal's intervention, the purple demon insect immortal roared furiously. Summoning all its strength, it stomped on the void, unleashing a force so immense it shattered the surrounding space for 100 miles. Its enormous form retreated rapidly, distancing itself from Jiang Chengxuan. Black, ominous blood poured from its massive arms, forming a torrential rain of malice that filled the air with an overwhelming aura of dread. Despite its retreat, a cold chill settled deeper in its heart. I am no match for this human. Both the purple demon insect immortal and the abyssal insect immortal shared the same realization. After enduring Jiang Chengxuan's relentless onslaught, they could no longer delude themselves. His mastery of the laws of samsara, the primordial water-fire energy, the tribulation force, his perfected earth immortal cultivation, and the embryonic heavenly immortal cave heaven made him an opponent far beyond their capacity to defeat. What's wrong? Is that all you've got? Jiang Chengxuan didn't pursue his retreating foes. Standing tall amidst the void, he cast a cold gaze toward the three insect immortals, his voice cutting through the battlefield like a blade. While he had expended considerable energy, the three insect immortals had been utterly suppressed. Killing them outright was still a challenge, but his overwhelming force had left them no room to retaliate. Earlier, he had nearly succeeded in slaying the purple demon insect immortal. If the abyssal insect immortal hadn't intervened, the creature would have undoubtedly fallen beneath the tribulation weapon. But these insect immortals, with their millennia of cunning and survival instincts, were not so easily outmaneuvered. They refused to give him such an opening again. Moreover, Jiang Chengxuan knew that the Three Realms insect immortal's cleansing world power was nearing its end. Once it returned to its offensive state, the battle would escalate into another prolonged struggle. Buzz! As expected, just as this thought crossed Jiang Chengxuan's mind, the radiant light of the cleansing world power erupted from the heavens, illuminating the battlefield. The golden brilliance fractured, giving way to a foul, murky aura. The Three Realms insect immortal, shedding its crystalline form, re-emerged in its corrupted state, its three grotesque faces once again alive with emotion. Now high above the heavens, the three insect immortals loomed once more, their monstrous forms shrouding the skies. Jiang Chengxuan, surrounded on all sides, stood in their midst. But the atmosphere had changed. The three insect immortals, once arrogant and domineering, now gazed at Jiang Chengxuan with deep wariness. Their earlier aggression was replaced by an unmistakable dread. Jiang Chengxuan, by contrast, remained calm and unflinching, exuding a quiet confidence that only heightened their hesitation. A tense standoff. Time stretched in the stillness, the battlefield shrouded in chaotic energy. Corrupt fumes and tribulation mist swirled, creating an oppressive atmosphere. The three insect immortals, their colossal forms frozen, watched Jiang Chengxuan closely, while he stood resolute, wielding his sword and the tribulation weapon. The stalemate continued until a sudden, otherworldly hum shattered the silence. Buzz. The sound drew the attention of everyone present. All eyes turned toward the colossal ancient moon above, its radiant surface unchanged yet subtly transformed. From within, even at their lofty cultivation, they could sense a profound shift. The hum was followed by successive bursts of blue moonlight, rippling outward like tidal waves. These waves shook the ancient moon-fragmented realm to its core, creating fractures in the moon's surface that radiated in all directions. The battlefield trembled as the cracks widened, threatening to tear the realm apart. The moment they had waited for. The three insect immortals' eyes widened in anticipation. This was the moment they had awaited for countless millennia, sacrificing untold numbers of their kin to reach it. Breaking the seal of the ancient moon-fragmented realm and reclaiming their freedom had been their singular goal. Even with Jiang Chengxuan before them, their attention was momentarily stolen, unable to resist the allure of their long-sought liberation. Jiang Chengxuan, ever the opportunist, prepared to strike. But before he could act, his gaze was also drawn to the heart of the broken moon. There, a dazzling, multicolored radiance erupted, a breathtaking sight that instantly captivated him. The five-element, immortal essence of a million years. Jiang Chengxuan's eyes lit up as he exclaimed. Within the shattered core of the ancient moon, an ethereal mass of nine-colored light swirled and shifted, its form constantly transformed, creating visions of worlds, illusions of stars, and glimpses of the cosmos. Its aura was incomparably mystical and powerful. The overwhelming energy of the five-element immortal essence was so potent that even the three insect immortals, despite their goal of freedom, couldn't help but be entranced. A bold declaration. Suddenly, a surge of blinding power erupted behind Jiang Chengxuan. His sanctuary exploded in brilliance, sending a towering white pillar of light skyward, piercing through the void. The tribulation weapon and primordial waterfire sword flared to life, creating an unyielding domain of tribulation and elemental force. The aura of his half-step heavenly immortal power surged, pulling the three insect immortals back to reality. They instinctively recoiled, wary of Jiang Chengxuan's next move. Jiang Chengxuan, undeterred by their retreat, transformed into a streak of light, charging straight toward the five-element immortal essence. His intent was clear. I came here for this treasure, stop me if you dare. His audacious move left the three insect immortals conflicted. They hesitated, knowing full well the risks of challenging Jiang Chengxuan. Though the essence was a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, it paled in comparison to the freedom they had fought for millennia to attain. In the end, the three colossal beings, bound by their shared understanding of the stakes, held their ground. None dared make the first move against Jiang Chengxuan, their complex gazes following him as he advanced.